Chapter 61 Fusing with the Will of the Zhanxian Stage. Currently Yang Chen didn't have the ability to control the flying sword to kill people from a distance, but he could do nothing about this, as his cultivation was quite lacking. Even though he had already entered the 4th Kai layer, his skill to control the flying sword could only persist for a few strikes before his spirit power was depleted. The skill to use a flying sword to kill underground spirit beast required an enormous amount of spirit power, but while its speed was quite rapid, it only managed killing 3 beasts before he had to sit down to recover his spirit power. Currently Yang Chen was not making a breakthrough in spirit power, rather he was trying to fuse the will of the Zhanxian Stage as soon as possible, therefore he had no need to continuously use such a method. Everything was remarkably similar to the time when Yang Chen was at the execution grounds, the sword box resembling the immortal beheading blade within his hand, the underground spirit beasts who were trying to break in, stuck at the entrance, appearing as if bound convicts. Yang Chen used the posture he was most familiar with and then started chopping down, 1 slash followed by another, 3 slashes were required to kill 1 beast. As soon as 1 spirit beast was killed, another would immediately follow up, hardly giving him any time to rest. The 5 phases of yin and yang secrets entered the bodies of the underground spirit beasts under the influence of the immortal executing blade, regardless of their attributes, while chopping. The spirit power within their bodies was then completely used up, leaving none behind, so that Yang Chen could chop off the heads of spirit beasts without much difficulty. Even if the spirit beasts were not very intelligent organisms, they still had been birthed from spirit wisdom. Beheading every one of them gave Yang Chen the sensation of killing a living organism. This caused the killing intent within his body to slightly increase, but it also caused the killing intent outside of his body to increase at the same rate. The will of the Zhanxian Stage was most directly roused by massacre. What Yang Chen sensed at that moment was completely aligned with what happened when he was on the Zhanxian Stage. That portion of violent will rushed out from within Yang Chen's body and began to fuse with Yang Chen's killing intent. For every spirit beast killed, Yang Chen was able to sense his temperament become more like an executioner, paying no attention to reason, paying no attention to the consequences, merely the firm resolution chopping down continuously. He also felt that he himself had also become somewhat more aggressive. The violent killing intent even made the spirit beasts on the outside begin to sense dread, making them not dare to enter. So after some time, Yang Chen had no other option than to stop his hand on one side to recover his spirit power and on the other side to put the 3 purities secret to use so that the killing intent on his body could be completely absorbed. Every day had turned into a loop again. Cultivating by slaughtering was very tedious and dull, without even a little bit of thrill or excitement. Every day, just like a machine, slashing his blade to kill. He had even started killing more than 10,000 spirit beasts per day. Sometimes, Yang Chen wanted to just rush out to the pile of spirit beasts and face fatal dangers and fight wantonly to vent out his feelings, but the many years of cultivation experience in his previous life allowed him to restrain himself. Currently he did not require that sort of reckless fighting, instead he needed to steadily increase his strength and conceal it from other people who could cause trouble to him and then be able to pay his respects to his master again. Other things were not even worth a glance when compared to this goal. Thinking about the expression in his master's eyes when they were parting, without any hope, while she was bidding him farewell, forced Yang Chen to inspire himself. After the endless slaughter, Yang Chen did not know how much time had passed, but he could now sense that the will of the Zhanxian Stage had finally been fully roused and appeared after experiencing the massacre of several million spirit beasts. Bang. Just like the time after he had killed a senior god in this life, suddenly an endless killing intent flashed within the immortal falling well, and all the people in the immortal falling well were able to feel this terrible will. That will, which could even make the Jade Emperor shiver with fear, made every organism in the immortal falling well faint due to the intimidation, even Yuning and Da Cheng experts were no exceptions. The only one who could remain sober was Yang Chen. In the region near Yang Chen, these underground spiritual beasts were only formed out of spiritual influence, with a little spiritual wisdom to act based on their instincts, but all of them were killed by this invading killing intent. Within a radius of 100 meters, which was originally filled with spirit beasts, only a wide expanse, filled with a large number of spirit essences and nothing else remained. As a matter of fact, it was not only the killing intent which he had brought back from the Zhanxian Stage, but also all of the killing intent the Zhanxian Stage accumulated from the countless beings which had been executed in it. This fearful beast which had been imprisoned within Yang Chen's body could finally release its pressure as much as it liked without any restrictions and began to fuse with Yang Chen. The spirit power within Yang Chen's body began to circulate as if his body had turned into one huge black hole, frantically sucking in the spirit power of the underground spirit beasts. The speed of the spirit power rushing forth to enter his body made even Yang Chen fearful. Fortunately, the reverse 5 phases of yin and yang secrets were able to effectively purify the spirit power. By no means did Yang Chen want to make his body explode because of spirit power surging in too fast. The mixture of the spirit power of the heavenly stars treasure refining secrets and the earth fiend sacrificial formation secrets began to crazily expand under the propulsion of the killing intent. But that killing intent also began to once again shout with frenzy inside of Yang Chen's mind. Obey me. Obey me. But after having experienced it at the Zhantai stage already, Yang Chen could easily deal with it now. Within his mind, the image of his master's eyes while she was bidding him farewell began to flash continuously, the happy scene where his master was giving him a bright light flying sword, and soon a smile appeared on Yang Chen's face once again. I have already said it many times, I am the executioner. Facing the will of the Zhantai stage, Yang Chen only smiled and did not waver, despite the will of the Zhantai stage, exciting the killing intent on his body and making it go mad. Very quickly, the will of the Zhantai stage, which was unable to suppress Yang Chen, could only be restrained by him and began to merge with his mind, trace by trace, and turn into a part of Yang Chen. The familiar, obscure red aura appeared in Yang Chen's surroundings again, that sinister red blood mist looked striking under the illumination of the night pearls. When the killing intent had completely merged with Yang Chen's mind, the spirit power within Yang Chen's body once again changed dramatically with a rumbling sound. Originally he had already entered the 4th Kai layer, enjoying that exceptional cultivation environment, and adding on to these few days of incessant cultivation, Yang Chen had already accumulated enough spirit power, so when the spirit power was stimulated by the killing intent, he immediately broke through again and entered the 5th Kai layer. During the process of fusing with the killing intent, he once again broke through the bottleneck of the 5th Kai layer, and under the crazy propulsion of the killing intent, his spirit power rose once again frantically and within a flash, it crossed the hurdle, reaching the 6th Kai layer, and started rushing toward 7th Kai layer. Only after reaching the barrier of the 7th Kai layer did the spirit power start to calm down slowly and did not remain as berserk as before. This rapid breaking through the barriers of 3 layers left Yang Chen's meridians in severe anguish. At the moment Yang Chen was unable to deal with it, so he immediately sat down on the obsidian jade mat and began to restore his meridians and stabilize his cultivation. Elder Wu, overseeing the immortal falling well, was the first person to wake up, but he only woke up after 1 day and 1 night's time. But after waking up he found that a cold killing intent was present everywhere, the concentration and fierceness of which made him feel fear throughout his entire body. He wanted to probe around, but found that under the suppression of the killing intent, he could not even move. What kind of catastrophe had descended onto the immortal falling well? Elder Wu didn't dare to come to a conclusion and could only helplessly experience the killing intent that had spread everywhere, trying to forcibly withstand it, but what else could he do? According to Yang Chen's plan, he would cultivate to the foundation stage within 10 years, that would be upgrading 1 realm per year. This was so that he did not seem abnormal to other people and at the same time could be considered as a rarely seen talent, able to gain the sex attention. But, after the heavenly stairs he had already gained the sex attention, so naturally, there was not much sense in concealing anything. Thus Yang Chen had thought to let his cultivation take its natural course, but he hadn't anticipated that, at the immortal falling well, the fusion with the killing intent would surprisingly happen in an instant, and that, stimulated by the killing intent, his cultivation would increase by 3 layers, from the Kai layer middle stage, 4th layer, to the 7th layer. Calculating the time taken, it had taken him just 1 year of time to ascend 3 layers. This kind of speed could be considered most monstrous among talents. Consolidating his cultivation and restoring the damage to his meridians took Yang Chen 10 days' time. During this time, a dense killing intent flooded the surroundings. Among the people in the immortal falling cave, only Yang Chen and the recently woken Elder Wu were clear-headed. Yang Chen was aware of the damage caused by the killing intent to the surroundings, so after consolidating his realm, he hurriedly began to cultivate the 3 purity secrets. The second layer of the 3 purity secrets had unmatched speed while absorbing the killing intent. Within the brief period of 6 hours, the dense blood-colored fog in his surroundings was completely absorbed. This was the killing intent he accumulated by killing the countless immortals at the Zhantai stage, which had been completely transformed into spiritual awareness by Yang Chen. Even during the transformation, Yang Chen had a feeling that his spiritual awareness was like a hurricane which even he did not dare to accept. Originally, Yang Chen's spiritual awareness was already at the peak of the foundation stage, but currently, after it rose without stopping, accumulating more and more, it began to attack the Jidan stage bottleneck. Even if it was a very experienced and knowledgeable person, he would still not dare to believe this. Yang Chen was a Kai stage disciple at the moment, but surprisingly, his spiritual awareness was already comparable to that of a Jidan stage expert. Bang. Under the incessant attack by the spiritual awareness, suddenly the sound of an explosion echoed within Yang Chen's mind. Soon after that, Yang Chen sensed his whole body shaking, as if his entire self had appeared in a blood-colored world. Yang Chen was aware that this was his awareness C being established after his spiritual awareness had entered the Jidan stage. Usually, one could only hope to establish their awareness C after condensing their Dan. As for Yang Chen, after absorbing the will of the Zhantai stage, he had directly stepped across this step. Originally, the three purity secrets had the effect of using the condensed spiritual awareness to expand the awareness C, and currently they had opened the awareness C, but the killing intent still hadn't been absorbed completely, it was still continuously absorbing and refining. And so within Yang Chen's awareness C, variations began to slowly appear. The blood-colored smoke was present everywhere, as if all of the killing intent from outside of the body was collecting here. But very rapidly, this blood-colored smoke began to concentrate and soon afterwards converged to form a blood-colored river and began to flow over the blood-colored ground. And so the awareness sea began to slowly fade away, as if all of the blood color began to converge within that river. The absolutely empty awareness sea created only this blood-colored river and no other scenery. But Yang Chen had become wild with joy. In his previous life, when he had just opened his awareness sea, the smoke was of the form of a drizzle, very small, as if it was a little point. How could it be compared to this long, blood-colored awareness sea? The three purity secrets were precisely three purity secrets. Yang Chen couldn't help but sigh regretfully at the strength of the cultivation methods used by the greatest supreme elder. However, one thing was still very strange, this kind of strong elder, how could the people of the Profound Heaven sect have captured and delivered him to the Zhantai stage? This kind of fantastic awareness sea, Yang Chen knew that this was only the lowest layer among the three layers of the awareness sea formed by the three purity secrets. This was just a newly established spiritual sea, the difference from the most pure layer was 108,000 miles. But having this kind of great beginning, would Yang Chen still be anxious about his future cultivation? Taking a satisfied breath, he withdrew his spiritual awareness from his awareness sea and became totally clear-headed. This time, the fusion with the will of the Zhantai stage was an extremely pleasant surprise. The killing intent that had been filling the air in the immortal falling well was cleared out. Without that violent killing intent, the people within the immortal falling well began to slowly wake up. For the ones with a stronger cultivation, when they woke up, they were ecstatic, seeing these several hundred unconscious spirit beasts in their surroundings. Regardless of anything, they first began to kill these spirit beasts, delivered to them as a present, and collected their spirit essences. Fortunately, all cultivators who were able to enter into the immortal falling well were the ones who had been permitted by their sect leaders and had also researched the places they shouldn't go. Although some were quick to wake up, while some were slow, in the end, compared to underground spirit beasts, their recovery was rapid. Otherwise, the immortal falling well would have lost a majority of the disciples on that day. In this case, everybody was unclear about the reason they had lost consciousness, even the council of the 5 elders overseeing the immortal falling did not know about the reason. All the disciples who had woken up were only concerned with collecting the spirit essences. Yang Chen also didn't do anything uncommon. When he completely released his spiritual awareness, he became aware of everything in a perimeter of several hundred meters. Spirit essences and unconscious spirit beasts were strewn around all over. Naturally, Yang Chen did not let this chance escape and directly rushed out of the cave and cleared up the surroundings, raking in thousands upon thousands of spirit essences without any restraint. Only then did he return to the cave jubilantly. After coming in, he squeezed the head of the spirit beast at the entrance and began to inspect the changes within his body. Yang Chen could easily determine that he was at the 7th Kai layer, but the 7th Kai layer right now was completely different from the 7th Kai layer in his previous life. But the powerful 5 phases of Yin and Yang secrets, the Heavenly Star's treasure refining secrets and the Earth Fiend sacrificial formation secrets, the current Yang Chen could deal with tens of Yang Chens from his previous life if they were at the same realm. As a habit, Yang Chen took out a flying sword from the sword box and began to refine it. The second layer of refining of the Heavenly Star's treasure-raising secrets was not obstructed in the least, and within the short period of 2 hours, the flying sword quickly rose up by 1 grade. The light of the sword became even brighter, making Yang Chen feel really gratified. Similar to that, the second layer of refining of the Earth Fiend sacrificial formation secrets was also not obstructed, it even directly rushed to the third layer of refining. As for the spirit power threads within his body, all threads of the Heavenly Star's treasure refining secrets, as well as the threads of the Earth Fiend sacrificial formation secrets began to shine and started splitting into more than 2 threads. What made Yang Chen even more delighted was that the threads which were initially the size of silk had at this moment surprisingly become thicker and more compact. In Yang Chen's mind the image of the pain-filled eyes of his master, bidding him farewell flashed again, and in the blink of an eye, it turned into his master's face, saying to him, Yang Chen, this is a bright light sword which I have specifically refined for you, you should properly take care of it and cultivate more diligently. Gradually, all of these memories flashed through Yang Chen's mind. Master, very soon I will reach the foundation stage, very soon, I will be able to return to your side and become your disciple again. If you are enjoying the content, let a like, comment and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 62 Want to kill me? Dream on. The profound spirit furnace was a magic tool which Yang Chen cared about. After all, this was an excellent furnace, ranked within the top 10 even in the world of immortals, if Yang Chen meticulously upgraded it. The heavenly star's treasure refining secrets were of course not bad, or how would they be able to increase the profound spirit furnace by a grade? There was no way that Yang Chen would not use this kind of good thing on profound spirit furnace. The boundless spirit power under Yang Chen's control began to refine the profound spirit furnace from the inside out. Yang Chen was very cautious regarding this refining, he even made sure to be clear about all of the defects inside of the profound spirit furnace using his spiritual awareness. There was a relationship between refining and the master. Yang Chen's spiritual awareness, which was already comparable to a middle Jedan expert, directly penetrated through the inside of the profound spirit furnace, making the structure and defects of the profound spirit furnace clear to him. Although the heavenly star's treasure refining secrets was a very accomplished technique, Yang Chen still felt somewhat dissatisfied. The layer of the fire-attributed spirit power was very low, moreover he didn't have a suitable fire source or other materials, so these flaws could be clearly seen, but they couldn't be fixed, which made Yang Chen very regretful. Apparently, it had become necessary for him to put an emphasis on increasing his fire-attributed spirit power. Initially Yang Chen had a fire-attributed spirit root, but his realm had been very low then. In addition to that, he had already declared that in order to understand the other attributes, he had to have contact with all of the other phases. But now that his cultivation had become higher, Yang Chen had no other option than to think it over. He had to give prominence to his fire-attributed cultivation, otherwise it would surely raise the eyebrows of many people. Currently, he had a very good opportunity. Yang Chen knew that, within the immortal falling well, there was a location which had an underground fire vein. Together with the geocentric fire, which was a high-quality yin fire fourth fire that could be used for pill concoction, not only would the profound spirit furnace be upgraded one more level, but Yang Chen's fire-attributed cultivation could also become even more outstanding. After the heavenly star's treasure refining secrets, he used the earth fiend sacrificial formation secret and then were the universal treasure raising secrets. With these luxurious refining methods, adding on to them this luxurious maintenance skill, they could be considered equal to possessing a magic weapon. Even if a magic weapon of a higher grade than the profound spirit furnace was put before him and the magic weapon was extremely powerful, it would still be overshadowed by them. After refining the sword box, Yang Chen fished out the bottle of the Yang Mountain Medicine Garden from his Qianqin pouch so that it could absorb more spirit power. The geocentric fire was in another direction from the Lilu village, so he needed to leave. When Yang Chen was going to put down the bottle to absorb more spirit power, something startled him. The medicine garden's clean bottle and bottle lid were originally very high-grade magic weapons, and because of Yang Chen's current level, at least before reaching the foundation stage, Yang Chen would not even think of refining them, even if he had the heavenly star's treasure-raising secrets or the earth fiend sacrificial formation secrets, they would still be useless. At the moment, the medicine garden had been forcefully branded by Yang Chen's spiritual awareness, so at least it wouldn't harm Yang Chen. Originally at the Yang Mountain, the medicine garden's bottle was only left with a thin trace of spirit power. At the time when he was receiving the Elder's sword box, the bottle had completely absorbed that tiny spirit vein, but that also only added a finger-thick layer, and nothing more. But currently, the bottle was completely filled with spirit power, the entire bottle let out a blue light which could shake a person's soul. Holding it in his hand, it was like a chunk of a sparkling and translucent ice cube. Not only the bottle, even the lid of the blue-colored bottle had absorbed spirit power until it was full and emitted a golden, bright and dazzling light. This kind of change was something that even Yang Chen had not expected. Initially he believed that the lid was just a part of the bottle itself, but right then he had discovered that surprisingly it could function by itself, and moreover, looking at the color, it was very evident that the clean bottle's sword spell was metal attributed. This was actually quite a nice surprise. At the very least, Yang Chen did not need to worry about the medicine garden's spirit power requirement for at least several tens to hundreds of years. Afterwards, as long as he was able to refine it by using any sort of method, maybe he could make medicine garden absorb all kinds of spirit power of the 5 phases and form a 5 phases world within the medicine garden. At that time, he could certainly grow more than the drug ingredients that were currently growing inside of the medicine garden. Cultivation was a very long road, and by the time when he would ascend, having a few thousand-year matured herbs would definitely be a big advantage to him. That underground spirit vein, which had plentiful spirit power, had already weakened by much due to Yang Chen's frantic absorption of spirit power within these 2 years, adding on to the absorption by the clean bottle. Only, the immortal falling well was located below the ground, so it would naturally recover, but Yang Chen still unconsciously did not like it if a fellow Taoist found this location in the future. So with the help of the pearl in his hand, he took a last look at this unfair region, which he was reluctant to part with, and finally departed. He could find the direction of Li Lu village by the reaction of the pearl within his hand. This pearl, apart from illuminating the surroundings, could also guide those cultivators who had come here to train back to the Li Lu village. As long as one followed the directions on the pearl, one would certainly arrive there. While walking, Yang Chen checked the spirit essences he had received this time. These days, apart from cultivating through massacre all the time, he didn't have the opportunity to count his spoils of war. After killing several million spirit beasts, Yang Chen possessed more than 10 million spirit essences. More than 10 million, what did that mean? 50,000 spirit essences of the 5 phases could promote the ejection rate of spirit power bubbling forth by 1 unit. This unit of spirit power rushing forth was equivalent to 1% of the ejection rate of spirit power in the whole Pure Yang Palace at the Myking Mountain spirit vein. Even if it were only 10 million spirit essences, they were still capable of expanding more than 200 spirit veins by 1 unit. This meant that this amount was able to allow the current Pure Yang Palace's spirit vein exit to expand by twice as much. It also meant that in the future, the concentration of spirit power at the Myking Mountain would be an extra 2 times stronger when compared to before, for a total of 3 times as strong as it was before. This time, if Yang Chen took out all of the spirit essences he had obtained, then the Pure Yang Palace would have an enormous change. For a sect to be strong, it needed to have disciples, cultivation methods and money. At the moment, Yang Chen, just by his own strength, could increase the Pure Yang Palace's strength. A sect which had the resources to obtain 3 times more spirit power, who didn't know what kind of effect that would have on its future. Even if it was a foundation stage disciple, he could still not obtain this many spirit essences within 10 years. That meant, for Yang Chen to obtain these many could be considered as a cheat. His killing intent had slightly changed due to a small transformation of the blood color within his awareness E. It covered the whole area in his surroundings, those underground beasts did not even dare to come near him. After slaughtering several millions of spirit beasts, Yang Chen emitted the pressure of a predator towards those spirit beasts, so naturally they did not dare to approach him of their own initiative. Originally he had taken 15 days time when coming here due to the continuous attacks by spirit beasts, but now, after only 7 days, he could already see that the Li Lu village was not more than a day's journey from here. Suddenly, in front of him, a pearl-colored light appeared. This was the pearl light of a pearl, similar to Yang Chen's, which could help people in reaching the Li Lu village. Within a moment, a voice echoed in Yang Chen's ears. "Ahahaha, waiting for 1.5 years for you was not in vain, finally you have come. Yang Chen, accept your death." This voice seemed somewhat familiar to him, but Yang Chen was still stumped for a few moments. Only then did he remember. Surprisingly, this was the voice of Jin Tao. Jin Tao should have been under the effect of his heart's devil and the soul-stunning technique used by him, so strictly speaking, if he did not find a high-level expert within the immortal falling well, it should have been impossible for him to recover by himself, so how could he wait for Yang Chen for 1.5 years? Trying to kill me within the immortal falling well, Jin Tao, aren't you worried about being discovered by the Council of the 5 Elders? Since the other party had shouted at Yang Chen to die, but still hadn't attacked, it could be assumed that he still had some worries. He had heard some hesitation within that voice, so Yang Chen didn't take it seriously, but instead shouted this question. If it was before, certainly people could not kill anyone within the immortal falling well, but now, HMPH. Jin Tao snorted. Some kind of unknown demon has appeared, so the elders have already gone to the depths of the immortal falling well to investigate it. Therefore, if some kind of accident happens with training disciples, it would be a perfectly normal event, isn't that so? That is to say, killing people here would not cause any kind of trouble. Yang Chen was not worried about causing trouble, but if he was able to avoid trouble, he would naturally take that opportunity. Therefore, you should extend your neck so I can easily execute you. Apart from me, nobody will even discover how you died. On Jin Tao's face an evil grin and some anger could be seen. To think that I, the great Jin Tao, a peak foundation stage expert, was surprisingly made fun of by a trifling Kai stage youngster like you, if it were not for the elder of the council who found the abnormality, I still would have been muddle-headed. But Jin Tao's furious remark told Yang Chen the reason for why the Jin Tao, who had been under the effect of the soul-stunning technique and his heart's devil, could have sobered up and was waiting for him for 1.5 years. So it turned it was due to an elder. For an elder, who was an overseer of the immortal falling well, to find that something was abnormal with a disciple who had come to train and correct it was actually quite normal, nothing out of the ordinary. I have been a joke among the people at the immortal falling well for a year because of you, I must turn all of your bones to ashes to remove this hatred from my heart. Yin Tao firmly said, he was an arrogant and haughty person, this kind of affair had brought him utter shame and humiliation. Most of all the fact that he clearly knew that it was done by Yang Chen, but he still could not disclose this fact to others. If anyone knew that he had been played by a Kai stage youngster, he would never be able to raise his head ever again. Yin Tao was extremely sure that Yang Chen had plotted against him, otherwise he could in no way have made Jin Tao so depressed. Though he was not clear how Yang Chen had plotted against him, but he knew that this Kai stage youngster was a second-grade pill concocting master, maybe he had used some kind of vicious poison to deal with him. If confronted head-on, Jin Tao was convinced that even 10 Yang Chens would be unable to do anything to him. Naturally, Yang Chen was not easily convinced by Jin Tao's words and released his spiritual awareness to the limit and began to check for signs of activity in the surroundings. Yang Chen only wanted to check for signs of other people and was not looking for any details, his spiritual awareness covered a radius of several hundred meters. The result of this investigation made Yang Chen very pleased, there were no people in the surroundings, only spirit beasts. Withdrawing that trace of killing intent which pressured the underground spirit beasts, Yang Chen smiled at Jin Tao in front of him and said. Jin Tao, for every debt there is a debtor. Not waiting for Yang Chen to finish speaking, Jin Tao interrupted him and evilly grinned. That's right, injustice has a head and debt has a debtor, speaking of this, yes, my Tianquan Sect's junior disciple, Han Giant, had taken the initiative to provoke you and moreover, had issued that life or death challenge, dying served him right. Indeed, we are cultivators, if we aren't meticulous about it then what is the point? To help one's own people is often not the right thing according to logic, but for this reason you must also not harbor any grudges, this is the way of the world, really unjust. Many thanks, senior disciple Jin for giving me a pointer. Because Jin Tao's words had allowed Yang Chen to gain a sudden insight, he said these words of thanks to an enemy for the first time. What pointers? Jin Tao on the contrary stated his original position, he had no idea what kind of guidance his words regarding injustice having a head was to Yang Chen. Firstly these words of senior disciple, that to help the people close oneself was not always supported by logic. Yang Chen enthusiastically cupped his hands to express his thanks to Jin Tao, this made Jin Tao's complexion even more unsightly. To have a first implies there is also a second, what is the second reason? At this moment, Jin Tao had surprisingly taken interest in Yang Chen's words, so he couldn't help but ask inquisitively. Second is precisely to thank senior disciple for telling me that killing him here will not cause any kind of trouble. Yang Chen replied earnestly as before. Hearing Yang Chen's reply, Jin Tao was stunned for a moment and then suddenly started to laugh wildly, pointing a finger towards Yang Chen and clutching his abdomen with the other hand, he kept on laughing for a long time, as if he had heard some kind of great joke. Ha 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 ha. Only after laughing loudly for a long time did he return to normal and said with a blank expression. This is the best joke that I have heard in my life, I will teach you the difference between the foundation stage and the Kai stage. After saying this, a sword ray suddenly flew high into the air from his back. It quickly transformed into a flying sword, bright as snow, and slowly started hovering horizontally in front of Jin Tao. Even if you have killed several Kai stage disciples, to believe that I am the same as them. Jin Tao sneered and extended his hand to point a finger at Yang Chen, and immediately the flying sword turned into a sword ray and rushed swiftly towards Yang Chen. Yang Chen, who had been sitting in front of him, however began to sway weirdly and lost his presence. Against this, Jin Tao was seemingly not even startled a little bit, the sword ray flashed once and began to flutter in the surroundings. An escaping technique. So you were at the 8th Kai layer, no wonder you talk so big. Jin Tao sneered and, reaching his hand to touch the ground with one finger, he loudly shouted. Break for me. The region on the ground where the finger had touched suddenly exploded and soon afterwards the sword ray flashed again and faded away within the breach in the ground. Ting 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 ting. Continuous sounds of collision could be heard from underground. Jin Tao did not dare to believe what he was hearing. What kind of object is this? It can obstruct my flying sword. Jin Tao was really astonished, unexpectedly the flying sword which he had refined very meticulously was being stopped again and again by Yang Chen, using some kind of weapon. This was certainly not an object which could normally be taken out by a Kai stage disciple. After his astonishment, Jin Tao's face revealed a happy expression. After killing him, this good weapon will belong to me. I think you must be wondering now why, even after such a long time, no spirit beast has appeared from the surroundings. Yang Chen didn't appear himself, but his voice echoed in all directions. Hearing Yang Chen's words, Jin Tao was suddenly startled and discovered the abnormality in the surroundings. Because he was so pleased to get a chance to kill Yang Chen, he didn't notice this obvious circumstance, which clearly did not conform to common sense. What's the matter? He had already discovered that 10 underground spirit beasts had began to surround him. If he did not recall his flying sword, apparently he would be turned to pulp by these spirit beasts. When he was hesitating about it, he suddenly heard Yang Chen's voice again. You want to kill me with this level of ability? Dream on. Dream on. These words, once they entered Jin Tao's mind, as if they had set off a deep-seated fear buried at the bottom of his mind, his whole self immediately became hysterical. If you are enjoying the content, let a like, comment and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 63 Grade 3 Pill Concocting Master. Last time, on top of using the soul-stunning technique, Yang Chen also used these most crushing words. Dream on. Now Yang Chen had once again shouted those words while using the soul-stunning technique of the 3 purity secrets, which made Jin Tao sink into a deep depression. The soul-stunning technique was after all a magic within the 3 purity secrets of the greatest supreme elder. Even if one elder of the Council of Elders was able to wake him from that sort of depression, a trace of that heart's devil was still deeply concealed within the deepest parts of Jin Tao's subconscious mind. At that time Yang Chen's spiritual awareness had already broken through to the middle Jidan stage, so compared to the first time, the strength of the soul-stunning technique was even more formidable this time. Saying the same thing as before allowed the trace of the heart's devil within Jin Tao's mind to flare up again, rendering him incapable of controlling his attack smoothly. The most frightening thing for him was that the spirit beasts in the surroundings had discovered that the trace of this fierce killing intent had already disappeared completely, so they started attacking Jin Tao viciously. Even if Jin Tao was distracted, he was still able to sense the threat that these underground spirit beasts posed, so the flying sword which had originally been attacking Yang Chen underground flew out of the ground and within a moment began to dance in all directions around Jin Tao, attacking those spirit beasts. In an unprecedented confusion and flurry, even Jin Tao himself did not know the reason why he was so absent-minded at this frightening time. He only knew that he had to stake all of his strength to be able to resist those spirit beasts attacking him from all sides. To be able to kill them while they were defenseless was already the best he could hope for. The more he panicked, the more he thought about Yang Chen's warning, and the more he remembered that Yang Chen was still there after using the earth-evading technique to flee underground. Unfortunately for him, even though Jin Tao was at the peak of the foundation stage, he did not have the earth attribute, so he would not be able to use the same technique. At some point in the fight, an armor had appeared on Jin Tao's body. Apparently this was Jin Tao's body protecting magic armor. When the few underground beasts who were able to get by the flying sword attacked Jin Tao, their claws couldn't do more than cause a few sparks. Although the efficacy of this magic armor was pretty good, rather than feeling proud of himself, Jin Tao was getting more and more panicky and frightened. But peak foundation stage strength. What crushing Yang Chen's bones to ash. Compared to the flock of underground spirit beasts in front of him, all of this was insignificant. At this time, only feelings of fear and regret occupied Jin Tao's heart, regret being the complete majority. He was a majestic expert at the peak of the foundation stage, who was just one step away from condensing his Dan and becoming a Jidan stage expert. What kind of demon had confused his mind that he really stuck his head out for that worthless disciple of his sect? Han Giant, a disciple at the 6th Kai layer, he had been very insistent on challenging a minor 3rd Kai layer youngster to a life and death duel. This had already been a matter of ridicule, and what was even more embarrassing was that instead of winning the duel, he had gotten himself killed. Life and death battles were considered to be the most upright form of resolving a grudge, regardless of whether someone lives or dies, they would not be looked into after the event. Certainly Jin Tao himself had hit his head somewhere, hearing the name of Pure Yang Palace's Yang Chen, he was absolutely insistent on making things difficult for him, but instead he fell into his own trap, his minor obstructions were taken care of by Yang Chen, who had then proceeded to plant a heart's devil. It would be reasonable to say that, even after Jin Tao became clear-headed, he still didn't understand the seriousness of the situation, otherwise he wouldn't have come to take out his anger on Yang Chen and end up in his current plight. But at that moment, it was already too late for regret. Not only was he being attacked from all sides by underground spirit beasts, there was still Yang Chen, watching like a tiger, tracking his prey from a secret location. Younger disciple, I was only jesting, you must not misunderstand by all means. In this life and death crisis, Jin Tao could do nothing but continue to pretend that he wasn't scared and shout into the surroundings with a loud voice. Currently his flying sword was becoming less and less effective, he thought of leaving, but he knew that Yang Chen would not let him off that easily, so he could only admit defeat first and pray that Yang Chen became soft-hearted and let him go. It was very probable that Yang Chen was only trying to make him lose confidence from the beginning. Actually, I wanted to let senior disciple Jin get away at first, but unfortunately senior disciple Jin should not have informed me that nobody would know about anything that happened here. Yang Chen's voice echoed from all directions, making it impossible to determine his location. But one thing was certain, that he was keeping a close watch on Jin Tao's movements at all times. Although he did not know for what reason the underground spirit beasts were not attacking Yang Chen, at this moment Jin Tao did not have much time to think about it, he turned away and immediately started running. His body protecting magic armor opened to the maximum size so that the attacks of the underground spirit beasts could not cause much harm, he only wanted to be able to reach the Li Lu village, as for other matters, they could wait. Bang. Bang. The sound of explosions continued to echo. It was a pity, Yang Chen absolutely would not allow him this chance. After his rebirth, Yang Chen had become very clear that if a snake was not beaten to death, then it would cause endless calamities, at this moment he would not allow that kind of mistake to happen. Frantically dashing towards the village, Jin Tao suddenly discovered that the pressure in front of him had lowered by a lot, the spirit beasts coming out in the surrounding area had suddenly deserted the area in front of him and stopped obstructing him. Seeing these circumstances, Jin Tao was delighted within his heart and was just about to dash forward with more speed when suddenly a figure appeared from underground, as if someone had been waiting for him there, and Jin Tao crashed into him at high speed. An idea flashed within Jin Tao's mind and he immediately controlled his flying sword to attack Yang Chen. When the flying sword was just about to strike, Jin Tao was suddenly stunned again for a split second. But in this split second, Jin Tao saw Yang Chen holding something within his hand. A light flashed and he immediately felt a coldness on his neck. Following which his whole body loosened up and he didn't feel the effects of Yang Chen's attack anymore. He felt relaxed from head to toe in a way he had never felt before. Soon after that, Jin Tao felt as if he had flown high into the air and his field of view couldn't help but rotate. Only after he was able to see that headless corpse on the ground under the illumination of a night pearl did Jin Tao realize what had happened. It was then that an expression of shock appeared on his face. At this time, within the eyes of the flying head a hopeful expression appeared. The sword of the white flying sword was already at Yang Chen's side and within the blink of an eye, it would penetrate his body. Although he himself had died, taking down Yang Chen together with him was also a satisfactory conclusion. However, while a dream is one thing, reality is actually something else entirely. Jin Tao expected Yang Chen to die by the sword, but Yang Chen merely extended one hand and grabbed the fluttering sword light as if catching a mouse. With a heart full of regret and unwillingness, Jin Tao, at last, closed his eyes completely. But the ownerless flying sword in his hand, Yang Chen shook his head while looking at Jin Tao without saying anything. Previously he was delighted after making a breakthrough, but unfortunately this eyesore spoiled his fun. Could it be that he really thought that Yang Chen would be afraid to kill him? Yang Chen didn't forget about Jin Tao's Qianqin pouch and that protective armor on his body. The chance that Jin Tao had provided him was hard to come by, the location of this place was completely hidden and it was furthermore quite far from Li Lu village. Here, Yang Chen could dare to kill him without any mental burden and seize his wealth. Such an easy opportunity to earn free money, he absolutely could not let it go. Within the Qianqin pouch there were only 7,000 to 8,000 spirit essences, as well as 100 or so caddies of low-grade spirit stones, which caused Yang Chen to curse him. Apart from these, there were also several kinds of elixirs and the recipe to refine a nature pill. This was the most widespread elixir used at the time. In order to condense the Dan, Jin Tao was an expert at the peak of the foundation stage, he actually could have used it immediately, but unfortunately he had passed it on to Yang Chen instead. The flying sword was of a pretty high grade, but compared to the flying sword left behind by the ancestor in the sword box, it was still somewhat lower. Yang Chen directly stored it in the sword box, maybe he would have a use for it in the future. The defensive armor on the contrary was made of a high-quality material. But there was still one problem, when Yang Chen would get his hands on a geocentric flame, he could refine his profound spirit furnace, but he could do nothing about improving the flying sword, nevertheless getting something was always better than getting nothing. Regardless of whether it was the flying sword or the defensive armor, Yang Chen could not transform them even one bit and could use them in the way he got them. He also found a pile of talismans which could be sold for some spirit stones later. For now he stored them inside of the Qianqin pouch so he could take care of them later. Apart from this, he also found some high-quality profound metal essences. It was reasonable to assume that Jin Tao wanted to use them to temper his flying sword. Yang Chen wasn't modest and directly put them into his achievements ring. But he was most interested in the jade slips that Jin Tao carried. The first one was the water-attributed cultivation method of the Tianquan sect, which was used for cultivation after the foundation stage, the Okriyan water profound secrets. Yang Chen had heard about this cultivation method before, apparently it could replace Yang Chen's 10th water cultivation method. Obtaining this cultivation method was Yang Chen's luck. Under normal circumstances, that cultivation method was recorded entirely within the mind and was absolutely not recorded on jade slips. Clearly this Jin Tao had planned to use this for someone else, but before he could give it to that person, he had died and this jade slip had become an object within Yang Chen's Qianqin pouch. On another one of the jade slips, there was a method to create the diagram of a spell. Yang Chen inspected it for some time, although he didn't have any great interest in it, but it could indeed be used as a present for Gongsun Ling, who could research it. On the last jade slip was a map. If it was any ordinary map, Yang Chen would not have cared about it, but on this map, 3 locations were marked. Yang Chen had heard about treasure being found at all of these 3 locations in his previous life. Though Yang Chen had a lot of information about these locations, it was not comparable to the detailed information recorded on this map. Looking at it, if he could find the time, Yang Chen could still visit these places to take a look. After receiving all of these good items, Yang Chen threw the Qianqin pouch into the achievements ring. Similarly, Yang Chen had already collected many custom Qianqin pouches of other sects, waiting for the time when he collected enough and he made the breakthrough to another realm. In the future he could use these Qianqin pouches to increase the grade of his own Qianqin pouch. Although he still had the achievement ring, well, the Qianqin pouch given to him by the sect was just a decoration to maintain appearances. Yang Chen did not mind having a high grade one. As for Jin Tao's dead body, Yang Chen did not need to take care of it. After he left, these underground spirit beasts in the surroundings would thoroughly eat his body. The dead body of a peak foundation stage expert was like a big supplement pill for these spirit beasts. They didn't leave even the last bits of dregs. Within the immortal falling well, another careless cultivator had fallen into the mouths of spirit beasts. Within the market of the Li Lu village, cultivators could be seen moving around in groups of 2 and 3. Since there was no day and night here, people could be seen at any time. One cultivator, who entered the market and wanted to start some business by selling elixirs and remains on the outer side for 1 day's time, could earn many spirit essences. As long as he had the right price, this absolutely was a very good deal. Entering the market, the cultivators habitually swept a glance over an empty corner the same as before, and that corner was still empty as before. He was just about to go to take a stroll to another region when suddenly a silhouette appeared and walked towards that corner. Under the astonished gaze of those cultivators, that silhouette directly sat on the ground and afterwards spread a piece of cloth in front of him, placing down a jade bottle, and sat motionlessly. In great alarm, the cultivators hastily rubbed their eyes, not even daring to be convinced of what they were seeing, and started probing with their spiritual awareness. It was true, there actually was a person sitting in that corner with a white cloth arranged in front of him, with a small jade bottle on top. An upper Chi layer cultivator, his characteristics were the same as the 2nd grade pill concocting expert who had appeared 2 years ago, except for the fact that his cultivation was a little higher. After the moment of the surprise, the cultivators were exhilarated and nearly started shouting in joy. Surprisingly, they were able to run into the person who sold 2nd grade Yang Kai pills. This was simply a fortuitous encounter for them, but upon seeing the price, anyone would say that it was simply profiteering. In his exhilaration, one cultivator suddenly took a big stride forward. But, even if he was quick, other people were even quicker compared to him. More than 10 cultivators shot forwards like an arrow from all around and rushed towards this corner. Within seconds, this corner was surrounded by more than 10 cultivators. The person who appeared was precisely Yang Chen, but he hadn't anticipated that he would be so popular within the immortal falling well. Because the underground spirit beasts didn't dare to approach him, Yang Chen was not able to use all of those Yang Kai pills he had refined for his own use, so he found the same position within the market to sell them when this kind of scene occurred in front of him. The 2nd grade pill concocting expert, furthermore a Chi layer 2nd grade pill concocting expert, who did not know what this meant. The people who had surrounded him this time were not seeking the pills that Yang Chen was selling, instead they were seeking to obtain Yang Chen's friendship. In case Yang Chen was able to become a 3rd grade pill concocting expert, then Yang Chen would immediately turn into each and every sect's honored guest. In the mortal world, a 4th grade pill concocting master was already the limit, no higher grade had ever appeared before. As long as any pill was passed through refining 3 times, its efficiency would rise by at least 10 or even 100 times. If it was refined 4 times, then the pill could be considered as an immortal grade pill. As for the highest limit of 9 refinings, a 9th grade pill refined by the greatest supreme elder could allow an ordinary mortal to directly ascend to the spiritual world. Seeing a 9th grade pill in this world was simply unimaginable. The jade bottle which he had currently was sold immediately, and on the white cloth in front of him were also several spirit essences. He was still sitting there motionlessly, but the people around him were anxious. Everyone noticed that this time Yang Chen had only brought one bottle of Yang Kai pills to sell. They couldn't do anything about this and hurriedly asked. Younger disciple Yang, don't you have any more? I am willing to pay a high price to buy them. At first they thought that Yang Chen would not produce any more pills, but suddenly Yang Chen took out few bottles. These bottles provoked the same reaction as the first one and immediately sold out. Second-grade Yang Kai pills were comparable to Yuan cultivation pills, but they were much more convenient and the effect was nearly the same. Everyone knew about its benefits. Seeing that Yang Chen did not have any more pills to take out, the people didn't start shouting again, showing consideration for Yang Chen's business. Aside from obtaining tangible benefits for themselves, if they were able to leave an impression on Yang Chen, then in the future they would have plenty of chances to associate with him. After selling the pills, Yang Chen didn't want to stop for long. But just as he was about to leave, someone suddenly dashed forward to ask. Younger disciple Yang, don't you have any third-grade pills? The person just wanted to probe to initiate a conversation, but Yang Chen halted his steps and, turning towards the person who asked the question, he suddenly said. Wait for me to come out of Immortal Falling Well, then. Bang. These words were just like sparks coming out of a deep fryer. If you are enjoying the content, let a like, comment and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 64. Want to play with fire with me? A third-grade pill. There was no need to talk about efficiency. Everyone who was able to refine third-grade pills was considered to be an outstanding talent within this world. The already known third-grade pill refining experts were all nearly Yuaning or Dacheng stage monsters. Even being able to see them was a huge event, let alone receiving their pills. But surprisingly, Yang Chen had declared that within 1 year he would be able to refine third-grade pills right in front of them. Wouldn't that mean that, after coming out of the Immortal Falling Well, he would become a third-grade pill concocting master? A third-grade pill concocting master at the Kai layer. This could not just be considered as a talent, this was a monster. Any pill, as long as it was a third-grade pill, even if it was the most common Yang Kai pill, it could still be compared to a Jade Lingzi pill. It should be known that the Jade Lingzi pill could heal any kind of injury and even bring back a person from the brink of death. This pill was simply outrageous. Younger disciple Yang, I am from the Universal Sect. If you find any problems within the Immortal Falling Well, just tell me. Younger disciple Yang, after coming out of the Immortal Falling Well, if you need anything, look for me at the Mo Yun Sect. Within a moment, countless voices started talking close to Yang Chen, striving to make a good impression on him. How many people could get the opportunity to become friends with a third-grade pill concocting master, most of all someone at the Kai layer who hadn't become a third-grade pill concocting master yet? If they could give him enough assistance, then their future gains would be ample enough to make even their sect leaders drool. The chaos at that corner immediately captured the attention of the other people within the market. Everyone released their spiritual awareness to watch, but because they did not hear what these people said, they were confused why an upper Kai layer cultivator could make foundation stage and even initial Jidan stage experts chase after him. The Kai layer cultivator, moreover at that corner, could it be that second-grade pill concocting master? Immediately all of them understood everything and began to rush in that direction. The higher the number of people assembled there, the more it increased Yang Chen's urge to flee from the scene. The enthusiasm these cultivators showed would make people believe that Yang Chen was some kind of amazing personality. Yang Chen reckoned that even if the palace master of the Pure Yang Palace personally appeared, he still wouldn't be able to get this kind of treatment. This Yang Chen appreciates everyone's kind intentions. Finally Yang Chen said this, cupped his hand, bowed all around and said in a loud voice. This youngster's ability is merely superficial, myself is not worthy of the praise seniors give. Myself still lacks different flames which can be found at different places. If any one of you seniors have any information related to different flames, myself is ready to swap it for a furnace full of pills. Hearing these words, all of them remembered something. What Yang Chen had previously said about being able to refine a pill thrice after returning from the Immortal Falling Well, that would mean that he was only incapable of refining thrice because he was lacking some high-grade flames. As long as he got hold of a flame, he would be able to immediately break through to become a third-grade pill concocting expert. Although in his previous life Yang Chen was a cultivator with a fire attribute, he was only able to find the flame real sun fire, which was very well suited to his cultivation, by a fluke, otherwise Yang Chen would not have been able to ascend successfully. To find a flame by oneself was an extremely difficult task, so maybe he would be able to get some assistance from these people in searching for flames by handing out some favors. Regardless of whether the flame was of a low or high grade, even if it was unsuitable for Yang Chen, it could still be absorbed by the profound spirit furnace and increase its grade, so this kind of deal had only benefits for Yang Chen and no harm. Why shouldn't he do it? As for these cultivators, now they knew what this future third-grade pill concocting master required, so if they wanted pills from him, it was only natural that they should use their connections to seek information regarding this. If they were able to find something, it would give them a chance to obtain Yang Chen's friendship. In this world, where would they get such an easy opportunity to curry favor with a third-grade pill concocting master, furthermore one that was still at the Kai layer? Countless cultivators left with all kinds of hopes, and finally Yang Chen didn't need to cup his hands to the surroundings anymore and could go by himself again to take care of his own matters. Within the immortal falling well, everyone only cared about tempering themselves and killing spirit beasts. As for making friends with a pill concocting master, they would try to seize that opportunity if it was convenient. As for everything else, it could only be done at a later time after they came out. Immediately afterwards, Yang Chen once again disappeared into the immortal falling well, but that didn't cause any suspicion, as everyone had come to the immortal falling well to train by killing spirit beasts. Everyone within the immortal falling well had this kind of lifestyle. They went out and they knew where they could find spirit beasts they could kill. This event didn't bring any substantial benefits for Yang Chen, it merely gave people a chance to curry favor with him, and in return it gave Yang Chen the opportunity to ask for other people's assistance in searching for different flames. Nothing else was affected. Currently Yang Chen did not attach much importance to anything other than obtaining the geocentric flame. Within the 5 years that Yang Chen had joined the Pure Yang Palace, Yang Chen hadn't forgotten his training for even one day. He was doing all of this with only the desire to pay respects under his master again. Yang Chen had a very strong premonition. As long as he was able to obtain the geocentric flame within the immortal falling well, his cultivation of the fire attribute would be able to reach the foundation stage. No matter what, at that point in time Yang Chen was stranded at the Kai layer. In many matters he was not able to do anything because he hadn't officially built his foundation and connected the spiritual influence of heaven and earth. Even to defend himself, he could only rely on other methods. The whole journey towards the location of the geocentric flame was very relaxed. Wherever he went, all of the underground spirit beasts disappeared at lightning speed, so he didn't come across any hindrances at all. In a region, some distance behind Yang Chen, someone was creasing his brows. Yang Chen's speed was very rapid, making all of them incapable of catching up to him. Could it be that the Pure Yang Palace has discovered a method to keep away the spirit beasts? How can he move this quickly? Why aren't the underground spirit beasts attacking him? That person was puzzled, and while examining the compass he held, he raised his head to look in the direction where Yang Chen had disappeared and wrinkled his brows again. The Kai layer cultivator who can become a third-grade pill concocting expert. This kind of person should not remain at the Pure Yang Palace. In some other direction, another shadow said this while holding a similar compass. His expression showed that he did not have any good intentions, looking at the continuously trembling pointer of the compass. The Pure Yang Palace has gained an immense reputation in the recent years. Even a Kai layer youngster is bragging and swindling people in the immortal falling well. It would be a good lesson for them. The high-level expert said. Is it possible that the Pure Yang Palace has obtained the guidance of a senior expert? Otherwise how could their outer disciples increase so much in the last few years? Even a Kai layer youngster can easily become a second-grade pill concocting master. The black-clothed person said while enviously looking in the direction in which Yang Chen left. I will capture this youngster and torture him to reveal the secrets of the Pure Yang Palace. The large number of people following Yang Chen had various sorts of ideas. But the strangest thing was that they all held the same kind of compass, which pointed towards Yang Chen's location. Even if all of them released their spiritual awareness, Yang Chen would still not be able to discover these people because they followed him from a distance 1 hour away. Although Yang Chen's spiritual awareness had reached middle Zhanxian stage, his spirit power was quite lacking. Several kilometers was its maximum range. Yang Chen would not be able to find someone if he was outside of this range. But even if Yang Chen was unable to discover them, they were also unable to keep up with Yang Chen's pace. The underground spirit beasts kept coming up to attack them like always. This convinced those people even more that the Pure Yang Palace, or more precisely, Yang Chen, had found some way which could deal with the underground spirit beasts. This method, they definitely had to obtain it. Actually, Yang Chen was not moving that fast, just at his regular speed. Within the immortal falling well, Yang Chen hadn't been flying to move around, even though he was currently at the 7th Kai layer, while a cultivator gained the ability to fly without using any talisman tool after reaching the 6th Kai layer. But below the ground the most secure way was to walk, one absolutely couldn't show off one's ability. The problem was, even though Yang Chen was walking normally and those several people were quick, if they wanted to catch up with Yang Chen by going against hundreds or thousands of spirit beasts, even though they were all experts at the foundation or even Zhanxian stage, they still had to make their way by cutting a bloody path. Yang Chen seemed completely unaware of what was happening behind him, he just calmly kept on walking towards his destination. In this direction there was an underground river formed of magma. A lot of people knew that the geocentric flame was located at that magma river. Since it was not any highly secret location, nobody found it strange that he was going there. In any case, he was a fire-attributed cultivator, so coming to this magma river was very suitable for his cultivation. The magma river emitted a dark red-colored brilliance, this was also the only region within the immortal falling well which was naturally illuminated. The red-colored magma slowly flowed below the ground and from time to time some magma would leak out of the river, forming a few blisters on the ground and making the surroundings sizzling hot. An ordinary person would be basically unable to support himself. The most unexpected thing here was that, when Yang Chen was hurrying over here, a silhouette could be seen standing on a high rock, attentively gazing at that magma river. You have finally come. Sensing Yang Chen's presence, the person standing above the rock came down and said in an arrogant tone. It took you long enough. The dim red color reflecting against the skin of his face gave him an appearance similar to Yang Chen when he came out of the Zhanxian stage. Here is a river of magma and you lack a flame, maybe you should try your luck and see if you can find the geocentric flame. The person apparently wanted to convey the feeling that Yang Chen's appearance here was not a surprise to him. Not waiting for Yang Chen to speak, he eagerly declared his conclusion. Am I correct? You're indeed correct. Finally Yang Chen had the opportunity to open his mouth, but he was not intimidated by that person's knowledge about him because that person spoke too quickly, talking with complete confidence and without shame about his thoughts, not even giving Yang Chen any time to speak. Looking at the complacent smile on that person's face, Yang Chen said. But even if you are correct, what does this have to do with me? This one rhetorical question made that person's smug smile directly curve downwards. He absolutely did not expect that Yang Chen would give him this kind of reply and with such a tone. What he had thought was that Yang Chen was a Kai-layer youngster, so in his plans, if he correctly guessed Yang Chen's aim, it would surely shock Yang Chen, and in his shock, Yang Chen would ask for guidance. Afterwards he would suddenly flash his name, which would sound to Yang Chen like thunder piercing his ears, which would then intimidate him and make him extremely respectful. What came next would be a matter of course. But he hadn't thought that Yang Chen would reply like this. In other words, the plan that he had thought of for a long time completely failed. This made him, who had constantly enjoyed popularity and many people chasing after him within his sect, fly out in rage, due to the humiliation. Let's get directly to the point, kid, I want to know a few things from you, if you answer me, then it will be very beneficial for you. The person who had spoken so calmly before immediately changed his tone. You must not throw away your life to save your face. With pleasure, as long as you can provide me with enough benefits, there is nothing we cannot discuss. A smiling expression appeared on Yang Chen's face. Speaking of this, what do you want to talk about and what will the benefits you want to give me be? This kind of delighted reply by Yang Chen shocked the other person. Originally, the loftiness which he had built up for a long time had been broken by these interruptions, it was supposed to be like taking candy from a kid, but he ended up getting robbed instead. At the same time, that air of superiority of his was also diminished, two people using favors to exchange for information, this was just doing business and not a problem of who was superior and who was not. You are a Kai-layer youngster, how can you move so freely through the immortal falling well? No matter what, since Yang Chen had shown a cooperative attitude, giving no reason for the other person to be angry, that person could only ask his question. Furthermore, you are at the Kai-layer, yet you have become a second-grade pill concocting master, what kind of secret is behind this? These two things are not any great secret. Yang Chen faintly smiled and then asked. However, what kind of benefits can you give me? If they are worth less than the secrets, we cannot reach a deal. As long as you speak, I will let you retain your little life. You can use your life in exchange for these two secrets. The other person finally revealed his fierceness. This price, isn't it high enough? While speaking, a strong pressure suddenly pushed down from the sky and a huge net came down at Yang Chen. That person had unexpectedly determined that he first had to capture Yang Chen and torture him to get answers when talking with him. Not good. The stifling pressure from someone else was something that Yang Chen could easily ignore, that pressure was trifling to deal with for him, but that huge net caused a fear in Yang Chen, if he got caught in that net, he would absolutely not be able to escape from it in a short period. Suddenly Yang Chen dashed forward at a very fast speed, directly stepping into the magma sea. Immediately after that, Yang Chen's figure faded away, as if he himself had turned into magma. Eh? The other person's net ended up catching only air. He hadn't anticipated that Yang Chen would surprisingly not be influenced by his pressure, but instead would be able to use a fleeing technique to escape. But he immediately recovered and coldly snorted. Humph, a trifling fire escape technique, he must have barely learned it, yet he dares to show it off in front of me. Kai layer youngster, let me see, where can you run to? His body flashed once and immediately disappeared into the lava. Within the magma river, as if Yang Chen did not sense any of the burning heat, he effortlessly continued forward. Once the enemy chased after him into the magma river, Yang Chen immediately sensed his presence. Unwilling to forgive him, Yang Chen could not help but sneer. Want to play with fire with me? I would like to see how ferocious you can be within this fire. If you are enjoying the content, let a like, comment and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 65. Who said the flame was at the center? Yang Chen was able to determine that the huge net was knitted from silk of the profound eye silkworm and had been refined many times at a single glance. It was incomparably tenacious, and it couldn't be damaged by water or by fire, neither could it be cut by sword. If he became tangled within it, then he would be just like a pig ready for slaughter. The thing which Yang Chen found most dangerous was that the silk net had clearly been refined by a Jidan expert. Even in the dim illumination of the luminous gems, one could tell that the silk net was extraordinary. All of the magic weapons that Yang Chen currently had, whether it was the sword box or the flying swords within it, all of them were incapable of cutting through the silk net. Even if he tried to burn it using fire, it would be a waste of time, because ordinary fire wouldn't be able to deal with the silk of a profound eye silkworm, and right then he didn't have any strong flame, so for now he could only flee. The reason why he was fleeing and hadn't used the killing intent that was emitted by the red-colored long river within his spirit sea to intimidate his enemy was because Yang Chen had discovered the presence of a few other people following him. Although the killing intent released by Yang Chen with full strength was sufficient to intimidate people in a large area, Yang Chen was afraid of one person, and that was Elder Wu. In case Elder Wu discovered that Yang Chen was the source of the killing intent at that time, then he feared he wouldn't be able to survive the consequences. There was also the reason that, once people knew about that terrible killing intent, he would be unable to give a clear explanation. Before starting with cultivation he could say that it was because he was an executioner, so it was the murderous, though he could say that it was because of killing the underground spirit beasts, but haven't the other people also killed spirit beasts? So apart from Yang Chen establishing his reputation as a fearful devil, it had no advantages. Therefore, Yang Chen could only use the red-colored river within his spirit sea as a last resort for surviving and couldn't use it frequently. Usually, using a slight trace of it to intimidate a spirit beast was not bad, but trying to intimidate all living things, moreover cultivators, was absolutely out of question. After the huge net missed its aim, the enemy immediately collected it and chased after Yang Chen at high speed within the magma. By this time, the people who were chasing after Yang Chen had nearly arrived there and sensed that something strange had been happening there, so they hurried to see the situation. But when they came over, it was already too late. They only found an absolutely empty magma river and not even a single shadow. This time, everyone discovered everyone else, but they had expected it. Those with hostility among each other also discovered their enemies at a glance when suddenly one person yelled. He will belong to the first person who catches him. This was clearly an agreement to share the booty. Apparently they already treated Yang Chen like an object which they wanted to gain. Good. Someone responded. Suddenly his figure flashed and he directly rushed towards the magma river, vanishing in an instant. Upon seeing this, the others didn't dare to be neglectful, and the figures of those people flashed like streamers, launching themselves towards the magma river and disappearing in an instant. The magma river was very long, fire from the earth bubbled forth from it at various points, and it covered an area of at least several hundred meters to the sides. Furthermore, the magma river was not neat and straight, but rather broken and disorganized, with exits for magma to rush forth nearly everywhere. Naturally, the magma river was divided into a huge net of magma. At the center of the huge magma net was a huge magma lake. It had the largest magma exit, which belched with most blazing magma. The magma here was not dark red colored, rather it was bright red colored, so much so that the center of the magma lake was burning brightly white. The enemy chasing him knew that Yang Chen was seeking the geocentric flame, but he didn't dare to be sure that the geocentric flame was definitely located within this magma net, therefore he was unable to determine Yang Chen's final destination. Naturally, Yang Chen would also not be so foolish as to lead him directly to the position of the geocentric flame, instead he would have him chase around in circles. Yang Chen didn't know at all that the people following behind him all had a compass which was pointing them in his direction. As long as he was within a radius of 500 li, these compasses would point towards his location. Within the magma, Yang Chen's speed was not slowed even one bit, on the contrary, it was increased by much. Although Yang Chen had a low cultivation, his fire evasion technique was being used to the point of perfection. Inside of this magma network, he was like a fish in water. The more this enemy chased after Yang Chen, the more irritated he became. This magma network was a place inhabited by fire-attributed spirit beasts, so from time to time a flock of them would appear. Yang Chen was not obstructed in the slightest. The enemy, on the other hand, had to deal with these flocks of violent spirit beasts, and during the time he was killing spirit beasts, Yang Chen would pull ahead by great distance again. This kind of thing happened many times, so he had no way to keep up with Yang Chen's pace. The most annoying thing for him was that the spirit beasts which were coming to attack him had received some kind of provocation. Each of them was extremely berserk, which made the enemy pursuing Yang Chen complain endlessly. Could it be that he had entered into a long-standing nest of spirit beasts? Otherwise, what was happening here? Nobody knew that the real reason was that these spirit beasts had been scared by the faint killing intent emitted by Yang Chen, and while fleeing, they would ruthlessly attack everything which that dared to obstruct them. Very quickly, Yang Chen's figure couldn't be seen anymore. The very first person to chase after him had no other way to find him and could only come out of the magma river and groan while lamenting. But he immediately discovered that people who seemed to be chasing after Yang Chen kept on rushing, without stopping. The even stranger thing was that those people were all chasing in a particular direction, as if they were able to sense Yang Chen's direction. In the hand of these people was a compass which caught his attention. He immediately rushed back again and shot towards the nearest person holding a compass. That person hadn't thought that anybody would move towards him, so he only shouted from that place. "Haven't we agreed that he will belong to the first person who captures him? What do you want to do?" These words had barely come out when the compass within his hand was snatched by the former. After struggling for a few moments, when he still could not find any way to take it back, he sincerely backed down, not daring to say anything more. He had already sensed that this person's strength was extremely high, and moreover, he was not one of the people who had acknowledged that earlier agreement. He understood very clearly that this person could not be offended in any case, or he would be a dead man walking. "What is this?" Raising the compass within his hand, the person arrogantly asked the other one, from whom he had just taken the compass. "This compass can trace the location of the Qianqin pouch which that youngster holds." The person within the magma net sincerely replied. "If Senior wants it, you can take it." Just as he finished speaking, he sensed a huge net coiling around his body and tightening. On top of that, a trace of extreme strength started to push down on him, as if devouring him. It actually appeared as if it would extract all of the blood from his body. He was scared stiff and started shouting. "Please spare my life, Senior. Please spare my life." The person holding the compass noticed that the pointer of the compass was pointing towards a direction in the front. Seeing this, he coldly smiled without saying anything. Within a moment, the person within the net seemed as if he was already incapable of supporting himself. After a hissing sound, the person within the net was turned into a pool of blood. Everything else was absorbed by the huge net. The Qianqin pouch and magic weapons which he had all conveniently went to the master of the net. After having broken away from that troublesome person with great difficulty, Yang Chen once again discovered the silhouettes of some people. These people were like glue, tenaciously following after Yang Chen, regardless of which direction he turned to. They were all seemingly capable of discovering his presence wherever he went. Fortunately, these people were not as troublesome as the person at the beginning. Yang Chen was always able to escape from them. Soon, the actions of the people who had suddenly appeared within the magma river caught Yang Chen's eye. The compass within their hands also caught Yang Chen's attention. After pondering for a moment, Yang Chen realized that surely there had to be an object on his body which was allowing them to track his presence. Yang Chen, who had ample experience, immediately checked all of the magic weapons on his body and immediately concluded that it had to be his own Qianqin pouch. All of the Qianqin pouches provided by the sects have a tracking spell formation inscribed on them. Moreover, there was Chu Heng within the Pure Yang Palace. Yang Chen had no problem figuring out how these people could keep on chasing him and what the compasses within their hands were. Yang Chen merely wore the Qianqin pouch hanging on his body for decoration. All of the important things were within the achievements ring. Resolving this problem was very easy. He only had to put the Qianqin pouch into his achievement ring. But Yang Chen did not want to resolve this so easily. He had thought of an even better plan. The people pursuing soon discovered that Yang Chen had run off towards the huge magma lake at the center. As the owner of the huge net discovered this, he could not help but slap his forehead in regret. He had already known from the beginning that Yang Chen had come here to look for the geocentric flame, and the place which was most likely of having the geocentric fire was precisely the most brightly glowing region within the magma lake. It was such an easy problem, but he surprisingly hadn't thought of it. If he had noticed this earlier, then he would have guarded the tree stump to wait for the rabbit. Wouldn't that be much better? The group of people divided into a few directions, surrounding and moving towards the magma lake from all sides. That person from the beginning was also included among them. Merely with presence of so many people, it was not easy to kill them all, so he only stuck to one direction. People on top of the magma lake were calmly checking their compass, enduring the burning heat. Yang Chen was clearly moving towards the centermost region of the magma lake, that was also the hottest and most frightening region. Even the people who had already arrived there did not dare to proceed recklessly. Common fire evasion techniques could allow them to move through the magma unobstructed at all times, but this was not the case at that one opening. There they would need special body protecting magic armor or perhaps magic techniques to save themselves. They didn't know whether Yang Chen knew of this point or not, but in any case everyone looked at the pointer of the compass and started moving towards that direction. Suddenly, the pointer started shaking and immediately began to spin round and round in all directions, unable to point in any specific direction. Everyone was totally stunned. What was meaning of this? Someone managed to react very quickly. This clearly meant that the presence of the Qianqin pouch had disappeared. Did this mean that Yang Chen, the youngster who did not know the immensity of heaven and earth, who wanted to absorb the geocentric flame while still at the Chi layer, had instead been burned to death? In general, all of the cultivators carried Qianqin pouches and kept all of their possessions inside of them. When the presence of a Qianqin pouch disappeared, it usually implied that the Qianqin pouch had been destroyed. In these circumstances this could only mean one thing, and that was that Yang Chen had been killed by the underground magma. The group of people immediately felt their enthusiasm waning. If they had known earlier that it would turn out this way, then they would not have come to scare him. Instead they would have allowed Yang Chen to slowly find out about the difficulties of this magma lake, and then, when he would have returned after failing, they could have surrounded and captured him at any time they wished. But currently, because he had been forced by them, Yang Chen had panicked and chosen the wrong path, knocking himself into the vortex of death. Since this had happened, it was already a complete loss. All the things which Yang Chen owned had already turned into a pile of magma. Fortunately, even if Yang Chen had died, they had accomplished the task entrusted to them by their good friend, so this trip hadn't been a total waste. But it was still a little unfortunate. Everyone there was a cultivator, so they were patiently waiting on the side of the big lake, on one hand killing the spirit beasts and on the other, observing the movements in the lake below. Only when they didn't find anything abnormal after waiting for several days did they start departing one by one. At last, only that first person, the owner of the huge net, was left, still waiting. Humph, a group of idiots, a person who could become a second-grade pill concocting master at the initial Chi layer, how could he not be familiar with the nature of fire? The remaining person concealed himself properly and spied out at the activities of those other people, feeling disdain at them within his heart. How is it possible that the more they cultivate, the more foolish they become? How can a minor diversion tactic fool all of these people? The expert was sneering here, not even realizing that those few departing people were also sneering at him at a distance away from there. Hiding so close to mark your claim, Yang Chen isn't stupid. Do you really think he would die so easily? Everyone already knew what Yang Chen was doing here from what he said earlier about becoming a third-grade pill concocting expert after coming out of the immortal falling well and collecting a flame. The most plausible case was that the geocentric flame was located here. As long as they were able to get hold of that geocentric flame, they wouldn't have to worry about Yang Chen not appearing. If he wanted that flame, this was the only possibility. Every person was having their own thoughts, but no one was aware that just at this time Yang Chen was laughing at them in another region. At the time when he was approaching the center of the huge lake, where it became impossible for him to endure, he placed the Qianqin pouch into his achievement ring and immediately fled in another direction. Having followed the trail of the Qianqin pouch, these people immediately lost their target and could only wait for a chance to catch him at one side of the river. After all, this place had the highest probability of the geocentric flame appearing. As long as Yang Chen was able to obtain the geocentric flame, he would definitely appear in the vicinity. When Yang Chen was observing those people making foolish plans to catch him, he started laughing so hard that he had to clutch his belly. If he had enough strength to appear honorably in front of these people, he would definitely ask them laughingly. Who says that the geocentric flame is here for sure? That's right, the geocentric flame was not at the center of the magma lake, where everyone had guessed. Normally, these people would take it for granted that the most brightly glowing region was the region which had the highest probability for the geocentric flame to be there, but in reality it was not at all like that. The geocentric flame was the fourth fire, that was a yin fire. It was completely different from the real sun fire, which burned fiercely. The characteristics of the geocentric flame was continuously burning, the nature of it was moderate, so the region where it existed was definitely not an opening in the magma, instead it was another direction entirely. So, at this moment Yang Chen was moving along a very small tributary of the magma river. Normally if you move towards the end of this kind of tributary, the magma would start cooling and freeze into stone. But this tributary was different, although the magma did not have that same high temperature compared to center region like this, the magma was still very fluid. Yang Chen had spent a good amount of time to find this area. The reason which allowed the freezing magma retain its unusually good fluidity was precisely the geocentric flame lying underneath it. If you are enjoying the content, let a like, comment and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 66 Geocentric Flame. No one would be able to guess that the geocentric flame was located at the utmost edge of the magma river. If it were not for his memories from his previous life, Yang Chen would also not able to be convinced about this. Nevertheless, after finding the location of the geocentric flame, the excitement in Yang Chen's heart came down by few knots. When had he obtained the real sun fire in his previous life? It was around the time when he was at the middle wielding stage, only then did he have a chance to receive the real sun fire, and from then on his hopeless situation turned around and he got the chance to cultivate to ascension. Currently, when he was so close to the geocentric flame, he just had the cultivation of the upper Chi layer. Although there was a difference of several grades between the geocentric flame and the real sun fire, possessing a flame at the Chi layer and possessing a flame at wielding stage are two very different concepts. Yang Chen noiselessly wrapped his spiritual awareness around himself so that he would not be discovered by those people sweeping around with their spiritual awareness, and he soon disappeared into the magma. Underneath the magma was a very small space with a size of 5 square inch. Within this space the magma flow was completely different from the magma flow in other regions. In fact, the flow in this place was not magma, it was actually a broth of rocks flowing together, while the great majority of it was a flame. This flame was only flowing within the space, not even overflowing a little bit. When the magma came into contact with this flame, it was burned again and turned into liquid, flowing even more rapidly. Yang Chen's silhouette appeared at the side of the space, but this time he was not using any fire evading technique, instead he was using a method to control the fire to push out the magma from the surroundings. After emptying a space large enough to fit himself, it allowed him to come in close contact with the geocentric flame. Even though the geocentric flame was not very high grade, merely an insignificant third-grade flame, Yang Chen was still extremely cautious. Even if it was the lowest grade flame, if one was not cautious at the time of receiving it, it was still able to burn the insides of that person and kill him. The best method was to use a medium. One would first allow the medium to absorb the flame, then the cultivator could extract the fire Chi from the medium little by little, wait until his body has adjusted to the small increase in the flame, and then repeat until he finally achieved his aim of absorbing the fire. According to Yang Chen's experience, he first had to make a plan. Originally the profound spirit furnace lacked a flame, this time was the perfect opportunity. But Yang Chen was still extremely cautious, he did not want to be careless, now that his desire was in front of his eyes, as he didn't want to ruin this undertaking for just some short-term benefits. With 2,000-year profound yang fruits in his hands, the profound spirit furnace transformed into the size of the palm of his hand. First Yang Chen sat cross-legged with his soles and palms pointing towards the sky and meditated for a while, then he bit into one of the profound yang fruits. Using the spirit power overflowing from his body, he controlled the profound spirit furnace to slowly fly towards the geocentric flame. As soon as the flame touched the furnace, the boundary around the flame was broken through and the speed of the profound spirit furnace suddenly became very fast, rushing towards the flame. Within a moment, the originally black-colored profound spirit furnace turned dark red. Due to the connection between Yang Chen and the profound spirit furnace, he also sensed the violent heatwave wreaking havoc in the surroundings of the profound spirit furnace. The body of the profound spirit furnace appeared to show signs of melting. Nevertheless, even though it was a third-grade furnace, to be able to melt this large amount of magma effortlessly, it was absolutely normal for the profound spirit furnace to show signs of melting. If it were not for the protection of his spirit power, and he did not have a medium like the profound spirit furnace, which could absorb the flame, he absolutely would have melted on the spot. Yang Chen immediately sensed the pressure, and the spirit power within his body started to crazily flow towards the profound spirit furnace. The 5 phases spirit power of the 5 phases of yin and yang secrets all transformed into fire, attributed spirit power, and entered the profound spirit furnace. The only way to collect the flame was to use fire controlling arts, otherwise failure was the only option. This was also the reason why the cultivators capable of receiving the flame were mostly fire attributed. The trace of fire entered the profound spirit furnace under Yang Chen's control and then began to refine the internal composition of the furnace. This trace of fire was being controlled by Yang Chen's spiritual awareness inside of the profound spirit furnace because he was the master of the profound spirit furnace. Very quickly this trace of fire was absorbed by the profound spirit furnace. Following this one was another trace. Yang Chen's current cultivation was very low, only at the high Kai layer stage, so he wasn't able to connect the energy of heaven and earth, and the amount of fire he absorbed had a limit every time. Due to this small space of 5 square inches which held the geocentric flame, Yang Chen could only use this kind of laborious and time-consuming method to sap away at the flame little by little. This absorption took around half a year of time. Within this half year, Yang Chen hadn't suspended his control over fire in order to absorb the entirety of the geocentric flame into the profound spirit furnace. During this period, he had consumed around 200,000 year matured profound yang fruits, taking one every day on average. The spirit power consumed by him could put an ordinary foundation stage expert to shame. But all of this was not without gains. Not to mention other things, just his fire-attributed spirit power had been upgraded by at least one grade compared to the spirit power of his other attributes. Yang Chen could sense very clearly that his fire-attributed spirit power had already entered the 8th Kai layer. Finally, after half a year's time, only a trace of the geocentric flame remained in that space, the rest had all been absorbed by Yang Chen into the profound spirit furnace. At this moment, an earth-shattering transformation had taken place within the profound spirit furnace, and it had become totally different compared to how it looked half a year ago. The small cauldron was still palm-sized, but its color had completely turned dark red. It shone in brilliant lights and vibrant color, it was extremely beautiful. The appearance of the furnace turned pure and sparkling, as if it was some kind of priceless pottery, made with the help of the geocentric flame. The last traces of flame were quickly absorbed into the furnace, the absorption had already gone on for half a year, so the profound spirit furnace had adapted to the fire of the geocentric flame. This trace only took half of the time the first one took to get absorbed completely. When the process was over, the sound of violent trembling suddenly came from the furnace. Buzz. It was followed by a sudden jolt, and after that the furnace became calm again. The dark red light began to move around on the upper part of the furnace, as if it had become alive. Only after revolving across the outer wall for a long while did it gradually settle down, but it still left behind an impression similar to being burned by the geocentric flame. Under Yang Chen's control, the profound spirit furnace slowly landed in front of him. He then grabbed it and fondled it admiringly for quite a long time. Only after he was done with that did he put it away in the achievements ring. After finishing everything, Yang Chen exhaled a long breath. At last he did not need to continue with the frantic output of spirit power, he could finally take a little bit of rest. But Yang Chen did not dare to relax for a very long time. Although the geocentric flame was completely absorbed by profound spirit furnace already, he himself still hadn't began to collect it, this was an even more important task that needed to be done. At this hidden corner, Yang Chen started to warm up his cultivation. Because of the long time he had been releasing his spirit power and controlling it within the profound spirit furnace to absorb the geocentric flame, Yang Chen hadn't warmed up to train for a long time. This time he had to spend a whole 10 days to clear the fatigue he accumulated in that half of a year. After going through this warm-up, his meridians and the spirit power throughout his body were restored to their peak state. In accordance with Yang Chen's expectations, the fire-attributed spirit power stood out as it had become the highest grade spirit power within the 5 phases. Compared with the grade of the other attributes, it was a full grade higher. This was fully in line with Yang Chen's expectations, as he was naturally endowed with a fire spirit root, the fire-attributed spirit power was given more prominence, it was a completely normal thing. Under Yang Chen's control, the fire-attributed cultivation was able to conceal the spirit power of the other phases, so that when Yang Chen went out of the immortal falling well, it would not give rise to suspicion. Currently Yang Chen had to do one thing, and that was to find an absolutely safe region to extract the flame from the profound spirit furnace little by little and absorb it. This was different from what Yang Chen had actually wanted to do before, the profound spirit furnace had the ability to hold the flame by itself, after all. Furthermore, it was still only a medium for Yang Chen, if he wanted to genuinely control the geocentric flame, it still required Yang Chen's own strength. Yang Chen noiselessly appeared on the surface of the magma river, there was nobody present in the surroundings. After half a year had passed, if those people were still waiting for him here, Yang Chen would absolutely admire their patience and good decision-making. The safest place within the immortal falling well was probably only that cheat-like region which Yang Chen had used before. Only there would he not have to worry about attacks from spirit beasts. Moreover, he would still have the underground spirit vein which would help him with cultivation, it was simply a one-of-a-kind immortal cave. On the outside there were many safe places, but a cultivator would only get 10 years within the immortal falling well. If he left midway, that would also be counted as leaving, which would really be a great loss. Yang Chen still had many matters which he had to finish here. Just as he was about to leave, he suddenly discovered something in his surroundings. He released a little bit of spiritual awareness, and soon threads of spiritual awareness, thin as if they were made out of silk, slowly dispersed into the surroundings. This was a minor method of the 3 purity secrets to control spiritual awareness. By using this, the spiritual awareness could not be discovered by people. The thin threads of spiritual awareness spread in an area of several tens of meters, but very quickly Yang Chen could only sigh again. It had been so much time, but there were still people wasting their time in the surroundings of the magma river. This was truly outside of his expectations. Yang Chen had underestimated the greed for obtaining a method that could make a Kai-layer disciple become a third-grade pill-concocting expert these people had. Even for the next few years, as long as they had a hope of getting an opportunity, maybe these people would still be firmly waiting for him, as before. Strictly speaking, it was extremely disgraceful for Yang Chen to be forced to run all around to save himself by these people. Originally Yang Chen had planned that after absorbing the geocentric flame, he would find these people again to settle their debts. But currently, after seeing that these people were surprisingly still keeping watch here, Yang Chen was filled with boundless fury. He had seen people who take unfair advantage of others, but never ones who were this unfair. In his previous life, Yang Chen was kept in house arrest as a kind of control by people. The most hateful of them were the kind of people who kept a firm watch on him, not letting him break free. Fury rose from his heart and hate was born from his intestines. If he let these people continue to do what they want without saying anything, then surely these kinds of circumstances would happen again. Even those people who were not originally a part of this could get influenced by these people and join their ranks. If these people were not taught a lesson and were not made aware of Yang Chen's ferociousness, they would definitely not want to let this matter go. But even if he was extremely angry, Yang Chen had not lost his reason. He had only just absorbed the geocentric flame into the profound spirit furnace, and the lowest among these enemies was at least at the middle of the foundation stage. After one had successfully built his foundation and connected the energy of heaven and earth, the transformation of his strength was something that Yang Chen knew better than anyone else. That kind of strength was absolutely not something a Kai-layer cultivator could contend against. He could only stand a chance against them if they were like Jin Tao, who already lacked confidence and displayed that lack of confidence to provide a chance for Yang Chen to plant a heart's devil, otherwise, face to face, he was not their enemy. Since he could not attack them head-on, Yang Chen could only mount a sneak attack from behind. Using these kinds of methods was no problem at all for Yang Chen in this life. Even in his previous life he had used every kind of method to prevail in countless situations. Relying on the fact that underground spirit beasts were not a threat to him, Yang Chen used his fire evasion technique and noiselessly approached the most distant person in the group of departing people. The formidable spiritual awareness, comparable to a middle Jidan stage expert which was tightly wrapped around Yang Chen, who was hidden underground, did not in the least alarm that person who was killing underground spirit beasts, as well as keeping watch for Yang Chen. Mounting a sneak attack on a person who hadn't discovered him and was locked in close combat with spirit beasts was simply not a problem for Yang Chen. The only troubling part was that this would alarm the others and he had to leave quickly before the others came. Yang Chen had not planned to kill him silently, that sort of attack would not intimidate anyone, it was even possible that others would not know that this was Yang Chen's doing and would think that he was killed by underground spirit beasts because he was careless. Yang Chen wanted to teach a lesson to these people and naturally would not easily let them off. The person was controlling his flying sword at that time, he did not have even the slightest hint of the crisis he was facing and was still busy with painstakingly killing the spirit beasts. After the spirit beast was able to keep up with him and was not subdued by several of his attacks, he started fleeing from the faraway area towards the direction of the magma lake. If he attacked it again in a moment using the flying sword, he would be able to obtain at least 2 spirit essences this time. As he thought about it, the person who was keeping a close watch used that flying sword to attack the spirit beast. But at this time, someone suddenly appeared behind his body and a blade flashed in that figure's hand, chopping towards his neck like thunder. At the same time, suddenly a few words of a loud voice entered his ears, stunning his heart. For every debt there is a debtor, since you have come knocking on my door, pardon me for killing you. The loud shout, mixed with the spirit stunning technique, distracted the person who was keeping watch. But this small distraction was enough for him to receive a fatal attack. Yang Chen's sword box had already streaked across his neck and warm blood rushed from his neck, shooting up high into the air and then falling down at a distance. The people in other directions, including the person at the center who had a very high cultivation, all heard Yang Chen's voice at this moment. Everyone flew towards this direction in surprise. But before the people could arrive there themselves, their spiritual awarenesses came over and started frantically probing the situation there. The unfortunate thing for them was, even if their spiritual awareness was very quick, they could only discover that Yang Chen had already picked up the flying sword that had fallen far away. Wash your neck cleanly, I hope we will meet again. Yang Chen only left one sentence, making people ponder over his words when he suddenly disappeared from their spiritual awareness. By the time everyone had managed to come over, only the dead corpse of that person could be found there. The rest of all the objects had been taken away. The Qianqin pouch, the flying sword, all had disappeared without a trace long ago. The only thing left behind were Yang Chen's threatening words, still lingering in the ears of those people. If you are enjoying the content, let a like, comment and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 67 Peak of the Kyle Air. This time Yang Chen was determined to stop people from discovering any tracks, so he placed all of the objects on which other people could plant their spiritual awareness into the achievement ring, then he used his spiritual awareness to wrap around his body tightly, not leaking even a trace of his presence. Not to mention someone at the foundation stage, even if it was a Jidan expert, as long as his spiritual awareness did not surpass Yang Chen's, finding Yang Chen was not an easy task. When he was concealed like this and following behind an enemy, the enemy would be like a deaf and blind man. In any case, even if someone looked with the naked eye or scanned with spiritual awareness, apart from finding a huge pile of spirit beasts, they would find nothing else. They wanted to find any trace of Yang Chen, but even if some signs of him existed, they were thoroughly hidden. This kind of thing made those people feel dismay, but at the same time they also became fearful. After keeping watch for Yang Chen for half a year, they initially believed that, even if Yang Chen possessed some remarkable ability, he would not be able to leave through their net of surveillance, whether the net was formed by accident or on purpose. Who could have thought that half a year's time would actually provide time for Yang Chen to mature? At the very least his strength had already grown enough to kill a middle Jidan stage cultivator who was traveling with them. If Yang Chen kept on appearing and disappearing unpredictably. Thinking this, they all clearly understood what kind of big trouble they had provoked. Nevertheless, under these circumstances they all didn't have any better option than grouping together to look for Yang Chen and kill him. Only Yang Chen was not so foolish to wait for them while they were searching for him together, he had already fled far away. Currently the most important goal to him was to find an extremely secure place where he could refine and absorb the geocentric flame and increase his strength. As for the matter of revenge, that could wait for later. The place within the immortal falling well which provided Yang Chen with the greatest sense of security was only one. That small cave where he had previously fused with the will of the Zhanxian stage. Even the Lilu village didn't provide a greater sense of security than this. Yang Chen clearly understood about the cruelty of competition among cultivators. He would certainly not put his life in other people's hands, where he would have to depend on someone to enforce these, not particularly strict, rules to restrain people. This time, Yang Chen hurried to the cave which he had sealed last time in less than 10 days. Furthermore, this time Yang Chen did not remove the boulder from the cave's mouth, but directly used an evasion technique to enter the small cave. He carefully released a trace of his red-colored killing intent to cover up the cave. By doing this, he would not have to worry about disturbances from spirit beasts. Taking more precautions, Yang Chen even took out the lid of the medicine garden's bottle, the 7-step enchanting deadly spell. Even if Elder Wu suddenly burst into the cave, this spell formation was capable of trapping him for a very long time. In any case, there was also an underground spirit vein he could use for replenishment here, so Yang Chen didn't need to worry about exhausting his spirit power. After properly making all of these preparations, Yang Chen once again sat down on the obsidian jade mat, took out the profound spirit furnace, and started studying it. Yang Chen could tell that the grade of the profound spirit furnace, which had absorbed the geocentric flame, had increased by at least 2 grades, even without a thorough examination, just by looking at the change in its shape. Brilliant lights and vibrant colors could be seen on top of the furnace with a decorative design resembling a flame. The more Yang Chen looked at it, the more he became fond of it. He couldn't help but use the heaven and earth treasure-raising secrets to warm up the furnace once. Suddenly he noticed a faint movement, a dark red-colored flame quickly welled up inside the profound spirit furnace. During this time, Yang Chen used the peels of the profound yang fruits, which he had eaten during the past several days, and threw them into the furnace. In a short period of time, the peels turned into a thick and dense liquid. Under the control of Yang Chen's spiritual awareness, it kept on changing forms and shape incessantly, but not even the slightest mark of being burned appeared. The geocentric flame was worthy of being called the most suitable flame for pill concocting masters within this mortal world. Any kind of medicine or herb, as long as the pill concocting master did not crazily increase the temperature, would only liquefy and not burn. Naturally, this was only one of the reasons why the geocentric flame was suitable for pill concocting. The most important reason was that the geocentric flame was capable of purifying or even refining the impurities within herbs, according to the requirements of the one who is controlling the flame. It could almost be said that as long as one had the geocentric flame, one could immediately rise by 1 grade as a pill concocting master. Just using this property of the flame was enough to obtain one additional pill refining. Currently Yang Chen could already achieve 2 refinings by his own methods. By possessing the geocentric flame, Yang Chen could already say that he had already achieved the level of a 3rd grade pill concocting master. Of course, reaching the level was just one thing, his spirit power was still the limiting factor. Yang Chen was still not able to refine a large number of high-level pills because he was stranded at his current cultivation. But even so, a low-level pill that has been refined 3 times was still enough to make people drool. Peels of 1000-year matured profound yang fruits, together with some supplement drugs, was the recipe of yang kai pills. The yang kai pills were very low-level pills, so when using the base herb together with some supplemental herbs, as long as they had adequate medicinal strength, it was already good enough. The recipe didn't have to be followed too closely. This was Yang Chen's first time using the geocentric flame in both of his lifetimes. He controlled the flame very carefully, purifying all of the ingredients once at first, concluding the first refining. Soon afterwards, he produced the pill in accordance with the traditional recipe, concluding the second refining. After that, Yang Chen continued to refine it for the 3rd time. Even if it was just for the Yang Kai pill, Yang Chen specifically used the skills within the Greatest Supreme Elder's pill concocting method, regardless of whether it was for purifying the pill or collecting it, he did all of them in accordance with the methods left behind by Greatest Supreme Elder. After everything was completed properly, out of the ingredients originally meant for 100 Yang Kai pills, only 10 Yang Kai pills were produced, but these 10 Yang Kai pills were all 3rd grade pills. Refining a pill thrice could even change the nature of the pill. This was the reason why 3rd grade pill concocting masters all received so much popularity. However, these 10 3rd grade pills within Yang Chen's hand were all refined in accordance with the Greatest Supreme Elder's technique, so their quality was even higher than normal 3rd grade pills. Even Yang Chen himself would hate to eat them. All of these pills were very good items, which could save someone's life at a most crucial time. Just this little point was enough to make the profound spirit furnace a heavenly treasure in Yang Chen's eyes, not to mention that he still wanted to refine and absorb the geocentric flame, for which he would require the assistance of the furnace. Yang Chen's purpose for refining these Yang Kai pill were finding out about the nature of the geocentric flame, as well as familiarizing himself with the Greatest Supreme Elder's pill concocting methods, and to test the profound spirit furnace. If he wanted to absorb the geocentric flame, the first thing was naturally to familiarize himself with the characteristics of the geocentric flame. Since the geocentric flame was known as the most suitable flame for pill concoctors in this world, it was necessary for him to understand the characteristics of the geocentric flame to be able to concoct pills of the highest possible quality. But concocting pills once was still far from enough to give Yang Chen enough familiarity with the geocentric flame. He wanted to get information of all aspects, like knowing the situations in which the geocentric flame could go out of control. Therefore Yang Chen still need to conduct even more concoction experiments so that he could comprehend the characteristics of geocentric flame even better. Yang Chen was very patient. He spent the following next month to concoct Yang Kai pills in the profound spirit furnace using the geocentric flame to learn about the properties of its fire. When the number of 3rd grade pills had already crossed 300, Yang Chen finally stopped concocting and began to absorb the geocentric flame. When the first thread of geocentric flame entered Yang Chen's body, the extremely hot sensation forced Yang Chen to repeatedly, forcibly control his mental state so that he wouldn't get distracted. In his previous life, when he received the real sun fire, Yang Chen was at the wielding stage, but currently he was a mere Kai layer cultivator. His tolerance for fire was far inferior compared to before. Fortunately Yang Chen already had an experience of using fire to do various things for over 10,000 years, in addition to that he still possessed strong self-control. Resisting the pain that felt like being burned at a stake with great difficulty, Yang Chen slowly began to permeate his own fire-attributed spirit power throughout the geocentric flame. After a short while, Yang Chen discovered that the spirit power in his entire body was seemingly ignited by this trace of geocentric flame. His whole body had begun to combust. This was purely a feeling. If Yang Chen wished, he could use the water-attributed spirit power to pour water to extinguish the fire to stifle this portion of flame, but Yang Chen didn't do anything like this. If he did not go through this the first time, he would never be able to genuinely refine and absorb another flame, no matter what kind it was. Enduring the pain that felt as if his whole body was set on fire, Yang Chen's mental state had become tenacious like an old mangosteen one, without the slightest amount of hesitation about abandoning the plan. His formidable spirit power was monitoring the situation of his body at all times, guiding his spirit power and the geocentric flame, which were in contact with each other, around, little by little. Absorbing a flame at the Kai layer was a very risky task, but Yang Chen had no other option. First, there were still people within the immortal falling cave who were waiting for their chance to attack him, and second, He was looking forward to the time when he would be able to pay his respects under his master once again, able to assist his master to rise to the heavens. If he didn't have enough strength, he would not be able to do that. Yang Chen was certain that after absorbing the flame, his fire-attributed cultivation would rise by leaps and bounds. The difference between a fire cultivator with a flame and a fire cultivator without a flame just could not be measured in a difference between their stages. It was a very normal for fire cultivators with a flame to easily be able to defeat cultivators 2 layers above them with ease. Currently Yang Chen needed to urgently increase his strength, but he also didn't want to destroy the proper foundation that he had built, so he could only think of one way to reach the heavens in single bound, and that was to endure and take some heavenly treasures. This had 2 benefits: first, they would not destroy his foundation, and second, it would also steadily increase his strength. Having the experience of ascending to the spiritual world and the world of immortals in his previous life, Yang Chen was well aware of what happened to people who used spirit medicines to suddenly increase their strength after ascending. It would already be considered enormous luck to be able to become a servant for a strong person in the spiritual world, but most of those people accidentally trespass on the territory of some formidable spirit beast and from then on disappear without a trace. Cultivation never has any shortcuts. Along with the flow of time, Yang Chen's body, which was being nourished by the fire-attributed spirit power, slowly started getting used to this kind of burning by the flame. Only after finally reaching this condition did Yang Chen begin with the next step, that was to use the thread of geocentric flame to pull out even more thin threads and blend them into the 36 heavenly stars, 72 earth fiend layers of the 4th fire attribute, enter them into his meridians and start circulating. The spirit power of the 4th fire was as if it had started boiling, the flame rapidly permeated the 108 spirit power threads. Apparently this division had lowered the formidability of the geocentric flame by a lot. Very soon Yang Chen was not able to sense the existence of the geocentric flame anymore. Absorbing a flame could be metaphorically compared to using the flame to ignite the spirit power. It was like using fire to ignite a piece of firewood. A spark of flame wouldn't have enough energy, it would require a sufficiently high amount of energy. Just absorbing one thread of geocentric fire was far from enough to reach the situation, so he could only continue with the absorption. Because of the peculiar situation of Yang Chen's spirit power, the requirements at the geocentric flame were even higher. The events which followed were very simple, one trace after another, the geocentric flame started to increase more and more within Yang Chen's spirit power, and finally, after the utmost boundary was reached. Bang! All of the meridians began to burn. This time, the spirit power had been completely integrated with the flame, moreover all 108 threads of spirit power had been completely linked with the flame, the spirit power within each thread was brimming with fire from the geocentric flame. Those regions which originally had not been influenced were also ignited and all of them began to burn. The spirit power of the 4th fire was as if it had consumed a huge supplement pill, it began to flow violently and under the provocation of the flame, it began to circulate within his meridians at lightning speed. Yang Chen did not have to suffer that intense burning pain again, because of the circulation it was replaced by a warm and comfortable sensation. The geocentric flame could be classified as a 4th fire, but after the flame blended in, not only had the 4th fire spirit power increased sharply, but because yin and yang were mutually complementing each other, the related 3rd fire was also aided and under the provocation of the 4th fire spirit power, began to crazily absorb the underground vein spiritual influence and rise violently. The sharply rising spirit power began to run rampant within his body, but under the control of Yang Chen's formidable spiritual awareness, it was very quickly controlled and restricted within the meridians, becoming more and more powerful. After some time, when Yang Chen had sensed that it was enough, he began to guide the fire-attributed spirit power to attack the crucial points within his meridians. Bang! Like a hot knife cutting through butter, the fire-attributed spirit power began to open a barrier, and Yang Chen finally entered the 9th Kai layer in fire-attributed cultivation. Immediately after breaking through, the spirit power appeared to be a little lacking, but the geocentric flame began to ignite yet again, and the spiritual influence of the underground spirit vein began to frantically rush into Yang Chen's body, overflowing it and once again starting to replenish it. At the time when spirit power accumulation was sufficient, Yang Chen once again began to guide it to attack the next barrier. Under the eruption of energy, this barrier within the meridians was also broken through without any suspense, he easily reached the 10th Kai layer, the peak of the Kai layer. Suddenly Yang Chen had a sensation about the energy of heaven and earth. What Yang Chen needed to do most in this realm was to accumulate enough spirit energy, then he could begin to break through after comprehending the required mental state and finally become able to connect the energy of heaven and earth and successfully build his foundation. For Yang Chen, comprehending the mental state required to break through was not a problem. With his experience as a Great Principle Golden Immortal, how could he be stranded at the trifling foundation stage? But Yang Chen did not want to break through immediately. He was at the peak of the Kai layer, but only the fire-attributed spirit power had increased. The other attributes still needed to be improved, as there could not be much discrepancy between the attributes. In addition to that, Yang Chen wanted to consolidate his realm and did not want to keep on increasing his cultivation. Haste makes waste, suitably stabilizing the foundation would certainly have many benefits for his future cultivation. When Yang Chen finally calculated the days he had spent here, he suddenly discovered that already half a year had passed. Sensing the violently surging spirit power within his body, Yang Chen had the sudden urge to be impulsive. Those people who were waiting for him at the side of the magma river, it was finally time to settle his debts with them. 1. The mangosteen is a fruit that starts to harden after harvest. If you are enjoying the content, let a like, comment and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 68. My path is that of a pill concocting master. Yang Chen's figure once again appeared within the Lilu village at that same remote corner, still sitting motionlessly. In front of him was, as before, a crude plain white cloth. The only different thing was that on the white cloth, there was no longer a medicine bottle, instead there were just two big words. Concocting pills. Yang Chen simply hadn't gone towards the side of the magma lake to find those people. Since half a year had already passed, if anyone was still waiting for him there, he would only be an idiot. Moreover, those people were in all likelihood capable of very quickly obtaining the news that Yang Chen had already returned to the Lilu village. As long as Yang Chen was in the village, he did not have to worry about those people not coming for him. Usually people weren't like Yang Chen, who was able to sufficiently prepare for them, since one could only stay within the immortal falling well for a few years. Lilu village was the entrance and exit to the road one had to take in order to go into the immortal falling well. Yang Chen did not believe that they would not stop here. The people within the market rapidly discovered that Yang Chen had appeared again. Compared to the first time, his cultivation had increased from the middle of the Kai layer to the peak of the Kai layer. But in the eyes of those numerous foundation stage experts, this was not something to make a fuss about. What they were most interested in was Yang Chen's accomplishments in pill concocting. A lot of people were disappointed seeing that he had no pills and instead the two words concocting pills. This stirred the emotions of countless people. This time, Yang Chen's actions could be understood very easily. He had already used up the ingredients he had brought from the surface, so naturally he was unable to concoct any more pills, but he still wanted to improve his pill concocting level, therefore he had substituted selling pills for concocting pills for people. Since it allowed him to obtain spirit essences, as well as the ability to use other people's drug ingredients to improve his own skill, he was hitting two birds with one stone. Can you refine all kinds of pills? The voice echoed within Yang Chen's ears. Hearing this, Yang Chen, who had closed his eyes to rest while waiting for customers to drop in, opened them and in front of him the two legs of a person appeared. That person was wearing black-colored embroidered boots, seemingly extremely luxurious. Yang Chen didn't raise his head to look at the person in front of him, he merely closed his eyes again and quickly replied. All pills at the Kai layer can be refined. A lot of people were paying attention to the surroundings here, hearing Yang Chen's reply, they felt relaxed. This was only normal. If Yang Chen had opened his mouth and began to claim that he could refine all kinds of pills, that would be a very strange thing. But following this reply, Yang Chen once again opened his mouth, which immediately caught the attention of everyone. Second grade. These were two short words, but they increased everyone's expectation again. Second grade pills, even if it were Kai stage pills, they could also be used by these foundation stage cultivators. Not to speak of others, the Yang Kai pill was the most common example of this. Can you also refine the Yuan cultivation pill? The person in front of Yang Chen asked again, not willing to give up. This time Yang Chen didn't reply directly, instead he faintly nodded and after pondering for a brief moment, he said. I can. Is that one also at the second grade? The person in front of him couldn't help but feel pleasantly surprised. He didn't kept on standing, but rather squatted down, coming to almost the same height as Yang Chen and asked with his voice full of expectation. This time Yang Qi clearly saw the appearance of the other person, but he was not someone Yang Qi recognized. He was not too old, but was dressed in embroidered clothes, apparently he was quite wealthy. That one is also at the second grade. This time Yang Chen did not take too much time to ponder over this, he directly nodded his head. The Yuan cultivation pill was a pill used by foundation stage cultivators to recover their spirit power. Generally speaking, once a person reached the initial foundation stage, he was capable of refining this pill. After Yang Chen finished speaking, the entire market went silent. A second-grade Yuan cultivation pill. They had never heard about such a thing before. A great majority of pill concocting masters who could refine a second-grade yuan cultivation pill were at least at the Jidan or Yuaning stage. Why would these high-level pill concocting masters be willing to waste their time on a yuan cultivation pill? They would rather use their time to concoct more pills of higher grades. The medicinal properties of a second-grade Yang Kai pill were already comparable to a normal yuan cultivation pill, so how would the second-grade yuan cultivation pill perform? This question was surging in the minds of all those people, but nobody said anything. Gulp. The person wearing the embroidered gown in front of Yang Chen could not help himself from swallowing his saliva. He once again asked very prudently. Can you also refine foundation stage pills? I do not dare to guarantee. This time Yang Chen did not discuss too much, he just gave a simple answer. Those ones also at the second grade. This time, nervousness could be heard in the voice of that embroidered gown wearing person. As for the other people within the market, they had already stopped the work within their hands, and all of them were concentrating their spiritual awareness at this small corner, afraid to miss even a single word. Refining them once will not be a problem. Yang Chen didn't reply directly, instead he gave just this one statement. However, this already explained everything clearly. Refining once was not a problem, so this meant he couldn't guarantee a second refining. What is the cost you demand? The embroidered gown wearing person asked for the cost without the slightest hesitation. A first-grade foundation stage pill was able to increase the rate of success in building the foundation by 10%, but 10 pills did not guarantee success completely, only compared to 1 pill would they still slightly increase the chances. But a second-grade foundation stage pill, perhaps that could increase the chances by 50%, maybe 70%, or maybe it could help one directly succeed in building their foundation. Every cultivator above the foundation stage clearly understood this detail. The ingredients will be self-provided. Yang Chen continued without batting an eyelid. 5,000 spirit essences or 1,000 caddies of middle-grade spirit stones. As soon as he finished saying this, Yang Chen suddenly remembered something. The mountain god whom he had beheaded, there were still some spirit stones left on the inside of his shrine, he hadn't gone to receive them, he could easily visit there when he returned. Since he had a deal with the mountain god, he had no reason not to accept the remuneration. Yang Chen's words caused everyone in the market to suck in their breath. Ingredients had to be provided by the customer, nobody had any problem with this condition, but the price of 5,000 spirit essences or 1,000 caddy of middle-grade spirit stones, that was certainly a very high price. The only people on the scene who had this much money within their Qiankan pouches were the ones who had spent at least 5 years within the Immortal Falling Well. Not to mention other things, just preparing these drug ingredients would require a huge amount of spirit stones. A large enough amount of profound yang fruit, matured until a given year would already require several hundred caddies of low grade of spirit stones, and to refine second grade foundation stage pills, only one would naturally not be sufficient. For an above average success rate they would require at least 50 profound yang fruits. And that still did not consider other, assisting ingredients, that would make people faint. If Yang Chen's cost was added on, then this second-grade foundation stage pills cost was comparable to the cost of several hundred first-grade foundation stage pills. But a higher number of foundation stage pills did not mean a higher chance of success. Generally speaking, as long as it was more than 10 pills, even if they succeeded in building foundation, the foundation they built would be very different from an ordinarily built foundation. But just taking 2 second-grade foundation stage pills was enough to ensure success, and these problems wouldn't exist. Everyone in the marketplace had turned silent, similar to the person sitting in front of Yang Chen. The person wearing the embroidered gown hesitated for a long time, then he suddenly clenched his teeth as if he had formed his resolve and asked Yang Chen. What ingredients do you want and how much time you will require? Yang Chen would naturally not push away business knocking on his door. Using other people's ingredients to increase his pill concocting skills while also making a profit of spirit stones and spirit essences, why would he not do it? As long as he was in the Lilu village, even if a piece of straw moved in the wind, in this small village it could not escape his senses. Within the 3 purities secret, there was a minor skill which could divide the spiritual awareness into extremely fine threads, which would then disseminate in all directions, examining the activities of people in all directions. This method was merely a simplified version of the method to divide the spiritual awareness, but it could probe the surroundings without these people even noticing it, so Yang Chen gave it the name spiritual awareness threads. Compared with releasing his entire spiritual awareness, it would use only some of it and it would be secret, so it would not give rise to protest from other people. It was the most suitable method for Yang Chen to keep an eye on Lilu village at the moment. Since Yang Chen's spiritual awareness was higher than his cultivation by more than 1 realm, he was already able to divide his spiritual awareness. But currently Yang Chen did not want to train his own primordial spirit. Yang Chen's current cultivation was really low, so a primordial spirit would only burden the pace of his cultivation. When Yang Chen released his spiritual power threads, he suddenly thought of a problem. Since a Kai-layer cultivator like him could take this step, then how could it be impossible for the greatest supreme elder? In all likelihood, the entire heavenly court or at least the area of 1,000 miles radius surrounding the two-seated palace must have been under the control of the greatest supreme elder, then how could the rebellion of the heavenly court succeed? Could it be that the greatest supreme elder himself intentionally or unintentionally helped it? Thinking about this point, cold sweat broke out on Yang Chen's whole body. If it was like this, then wasn't there some inside secret related with the fall of the heavenly court? This thought flashed in his head and then immediately died again. Yang Chen didn't think about this anymore. Regardless of whatever secret was hidden within the heavenly court, it was not something a trifling Kai-layer cultivator like him should or could care about. Thinking a lot about it would be of no help, as well as increasing his worries, maybe it could even affect his mind. What he currently had to do was to properly play the role of the talented pill concocting master. That's right, the experience of Yang Chen's previous life had taught him that no matter if it was the world of mortals, the spiritual world or the immortals world, a pill concocting master, especially a high-level pill concocting master, was the most sought-after person. Unless there was a life and death enmity, nobody would dare to offend a high-level pill concocting master. In his previous life, when Yang Chen had become a Great Principle Golden Immortal, because he had been a fire attribute cultivator, he could barely pass for a 6th grade pill concocting master. But even after ascending 2 times, if he could still only reach the 6th grade, then he could be considered as trash among trash. Not to mention the greatest supreme elder who could casually take out a 9th grade pill, even compared ordinary pill concocting experts who had ascended, he was still worse by far. In this life, Yang Chen however had a great opportunity. Not only did he have the top grade profound spirit furnace, but he also had the greatest supreme elder's pill concocting method. Just these 2 things were already sufficient to allow Yang Chen to have the potential to become a top-grade pill concocting expert. Let alone these 2 things, he also possessed the Yang Mountain Medicine Garden, which had thousands of spirit medicines, and furthermore, he still had the experiences from his previous life, so he knew where to find more better-suited flames. He had even participated in the pill concocting processes of some high-grade pill concocting masters. When all of these factors are added together, they provided the right conditions for him to become one among the highest grade of pill concocting masters. Having this status, he could increase his value in the sect more and more, and at the same time he could create an illusion against his potential enemies. A pill concocting master generally had mediocre fighting strength like Xu Chen Tao of the Pure Yang Palace. As long as he possesses this status, other people will involuntarily take him lightly, making it easy for Yang Chen to confuse the enemy. Yang Chen was assigned a cabin for pill concocting. That person who wore the embroidered gown took a room close by and began to guard Yang Chen, not allowing other people to interfere with him. The person with the embroidered gown looked rich and overbearing and provided sufficient ingredients for 50 to 60 first-grade foundation stage pills. Yang Chen reckoned that the person with the gown was probably close friends with a youngster in his clan or sect whom he had to be trying to help break through to the foundation stage, therefore he was spending such large amount of money. Refining the foundation stage pill was not much of a problem for Yang Chen. He did not lack the skill or a good pill furnace, as long as he could ensure that his spirit power could persevere or could be replenished, this was not an issue at all. The profound spirit furnace could easily take tens of profound yang fruits and refine them into a medicinal liquid which would afterwards be mixed with other ingredients and slowly begin to form shapes. This was a sustainable process. Ordinary pill concocting masters would take at least half a month's time to refine foundation stage pills, but for Yang Chen, it would not be that long. With the profound spirit furnace and geocentric flame, everything had become much simpler. Though a lot of people were paying attention, not many of them dared to use their spiritual awareness to probe. If not because they could anger Yang Chen if their probing agitated him, then the fact that, if they were not cautious and accidentally destroyed the elixirs, the person with the embroidered gown at the door would not be very courteous towards them. After 5 days, a burning smell arose from Yang Chen's room. The heart of the person outside of the door tensed. He was aware that this meant that Yang Chen had failed, but he had no other choice than to put up a bold face and continue. He had tried almost everywhere, but Yang Chen was the first person he had run into who could fulfill his wish. For the person who wore the embroidered gown, each day felt like an entire year. With complete patience, the person wearing the embroidery kept on waiting for 20 more days. The other people of the village also started to remain inside of the village. Even if they went out to hunt spirit beasts, when they returned they would directly come to the area near Yang Chen's room to take a look at the situation. A few days after he started, a sweet fragrance began to float out of Yang Chen's cabin. The smell was extremely clear, just one sniff could give a huge shock to everyone's minds, as if it was an all-cure potion. Moreover, the fragrance began to be more and more dense and very quickly spread throughout the entire village. At the current day nobody had left the village, everyone was hovering around Yang Chen's room waiting for him. The person with the embroidered gown was bitterly waiting on the outside, hoping to see the outcome. Every day he would keep on scuttling and pacing around. But without Yang Chen's permission, he didn't dare to go in or probe with his spiritual awareness. Finally on one day, when the medicinal smell had reached its peak, they could soon clearly hear Yang Chen shouting inside of the room, and then the medicinal smell suddenly disappeared without a trace, as if it had been absorbed by something. Creak. Yang Chen opened the door of his small room and came out with an exhausted expression spread across his face. He looked at the person in the embroidered gown, whose face was full of expectations, smiled and held out his hand. "Do you have a jade bottle, because I don't have one here." "I do. I do." The person wearing the embroidered gown hurriedly nodded and then hastily fished out a jade bottle from his Qianqin pouch, threw away whatever was inside, and gave it to Yang Chen. 2 pure white pills slowly flew towards the jade bottle and entered it. After cautiously stuffing the cork, Yang Chen gave the jade bottle to person wearing the embroidered gown and said, "Fortunately, I did not humiliate myself." If you are enjoying the content, let a like, comment and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 69. You can't complain about dying. Bang. As soon as he put the jade bottle into the hands of the person wearing the embroidered gown, it was as if the whole Ilu village had detonated. A second-grade foundation stage pill. It was possible that the person who received these 2 foundation stage pills already had a 90% chance of stepping into the foundation stage, the remaining 10% depended on his luck. If he did not face some kind of unexpected mishap, then the foundation stage was already within his reach. Everyone present on the scene, apart from Yang Chen, were all foundation stage or even Jidan stage experts, who among them didn't want to support the younger generation. The problem was that foundation stage pills were not a problem, as long as they were willing to spend a little money, everyone could find them, but second-grade foundation stage pills were just objects of legend. Currently everyone was blankly staring at those 2 foundation stage pills within the hands of the person with the embroidered gown, everyone's gaze was burning hot with desire. Being the attention of everyone's gaze, the person with the embroidered gown was scared and immediately concealed the jade bottle inside of his Qianqin pouch. Soon afterwards he very respectfully took out a huge pile of spirit essences and delivered them to Yang Chen. "This is the promised reward for the great master. It is but a minor reward, unable to express my respect for you." Despite Yang Chen failing for the first time, he was still able to refine 2 second-grade foundation stage pills for him. The person with the embroidered was already so pleased that he did not know what to say, so he hastily offered the reward. He was the first person to ask Yang Chen to concoct pills, and the results were his good karma. Maybe in the future he would still get to have further contact with Yang Chen. This kind of opportunity, his intestines would turn green in regret if he lost this opportunity, so how could he dare to withhold Yang Chen's remuneration? The person in the embroidered gown also addressed Yang Chen exceptionally smoothly as Great Master, without feeling any awkwardness. If the person who could refine second-grade pills at the Kai layer was not suited to be called a Great Master, then who would be? "Myself is the Sky Sword Village Yongzhu, Great Master. If you want anything from that region in the future, don't hesitate to call for me. I will go through water and tread on fire for you, even 1,000 deaths won't be able to stop me." After delivering the remuneration, the person in the embroidered gown did not dare to be neglectful and immediately introduced himself. If he wasn't able to make Yang Chen remember his name this time, then wouldn't that be the biggest blunder? "Yang. Great Master, I also want to request 2 second-grade foundation stage pills." Just as Yongzhu had declared his identity, a person immediately started shouting while rushing towards Yang Chen. After knowing Yang Chen's identity, he had barely shouted Yang Chen's surname when he noticed that it was not appropriate, so at the last moment he changed it into Great Master, but his speed was very fast and in a moment he came very close. Yongzhu's complexion changed. This was obviously someone trying to snatch his chance. He was just about to show his anger when he suddenly heard the voices of a bunch of people who had already managed to surround them. "Great Master, I want to request 1 second-grade foundation stage pill." "Great Master, can you refine the nature pill?" The people coming and flocking around almost directly pushed Yongzhu to the outside. Yongzhu couldn't do anything about these circumstances and could only rejoice that he was the first one who obtained Yang Chen's pills and got the opportunity to inform him about himself. Fortunately, he was able to tell his name to Yang Chen just a moment ago, so in the future after Yang Chen came out of the immortal falling well, he had to carefully try to get close to Yang Chen. People who wanted pills were many, but several of them hadn't completely prepared the ingredients. There were large number of people who were coming over, wanting to make a deal with Yang Chen first, and then wanted to come again later at a suitable opportunity to deliver the missing ingredients. Although Yang Chen did not reject any of them, he asked them to wait for some time. The reward hadn't been reduced, however. All of the people were extremely delighted to be able to connect with a pill-concocting master with boundless prospects, even if Yang Chen only agreed to give them an opportunity in the future to refine for them, that would still be an enormous chance. Even if Yang Chen's cultivation was the lowest within the Lilu village, when passing by his cabin, nobody dared to make a loud noise for the fear that they would disturb Yang Chen's cultivation. All of them had extremely delighted expressions on their faces. Yang Chen was currently able to refine second-grade foundation stage pills. Didn't this mean that, after reaching the foundation stage, he would be able to refine the nature pill, which was the first choice of pill at the time of congealing Dan? This pill was something all of the foundation stage cultivators yearned for. Most of all, a second-grade nature pill would simply mean that the chances of congealing their Dan were increased by 50%. Who did not want to increase their chances of congealing a Dan? Who did not want to improve their cultivation and break through to the next realm? For that, they would naturally try to curry favor with this pill-concocting master by all possible means. Afterwards, Yang Chen never left Lilu village. Instead, if someone requested him to concoct pills, Yang Chen would lend a hand by concocting the pills, conveniently upgrading his own pill-concocting skills, and at the same time also increasing the medicinal Kai nurturing of the profound spirit furnace. The reason why the profound spirit furnace was so powerful in his previous life was because a large number of all kinds of pills had been refined in it. No matter what kind of spirit medicine it was, whenever any kind of pill was refined in the furnace, it would leave behind a trace of its medicinal Kai, which would nourish the furnace. Yang Chen naturally knew this very well. As for monitoring the Lilu village, Yang Chen didn't relax even one bit. He wanted to take care of the people who dared to attack him. He had been good for too long. In this life, Yang Chen would not be the one who never tries to offend anybody. Lilu village was the only exit of the immortal falling well. Yang Chen did not believe that they would not stop here. Peng Wei was in very bad mood these recent few days. The people on the outside had entrusted him with the task of getting rid of a trifling Kai layer cultivator within the immortal falling well, even providing him with a compass that could trace his Qianqin pouch, but he, together with many other people, had allowed the target to escape when they were chasing him, and furthermore they still let one of their companions be killed by him. Although the person who died was a big sex disciple with whom he did not have a good relationship, as a loose cultivator, Peng Wei was looking forward to his early death, but not being able to accomplish the task entrusted to him from the outside by someone had made Peng Wei lose a lot of face. To be able to make these people wait for half a year and then disappear from under their eyes, who could be happy about this? Filling spirit beasts around the magma lake had also become very troublesome affair. After Yang Chen had run away, he found that all of the spirit beasts in the surroundings seemed to have gone mad and frequently began to attack those people. In the end, everyone had to join together, only then were they able to charge out from there, but this had still made them battered and exhausted. Within this half year, everything had gone the wrong way for him. No positive event had happened during this time. After killing the spirit beasts for 2 months on the outside, Peng Wei was finally exhausted and was going to return to the Lilu village to resupply. Just as he entered the mouth of the Lilu village, Peng Wei immediately sensed something abnormal with the atmosphere. When he raised his head to investigate, he saw Yang Chen standing at a distance not too far from him, with a smile spread across his entire face and his eyes filled of interest. Seeing that Peng Wei was looking at him, the smile on Yang Chen's face became even wider. "Fellow Taoist, I don't know how to address you." Peng Wei was startled. He suddenly felt empty within his heart, surprisingly not even daring to announce his own name. Without paying any more attention to Yang Chen, he snorted and turned towards another direction. Still pondering within his heart, he had to inform those friends of himself. The most proper thing was not to let Yang Chen know his identity. Peng Wei was thinking about this when he suddenly heard an unbelievable sound. "Great Master, this is a lone, loose cultivator, fellow Taoist Peng Wei. For what reason are you asking about him?" Who spoke out his name without even blinking? The thing that made Peng Wei even more puzzled was the phrase Great Master. Who was this Great Master? Peng Wei turned around angrily, but then he saw a scene which made him completely speechless. A lot of people had appeared beside Yang Chen. Why these people had appeared, Peng Wei did not understand, but it was already clear that the strength of these people was much greater compared to his. What made him even more shocked was that people who had an even higher cultivation were accompanying Yang Chen with a smile on their face. One person still had his finger pointed towards Peng Wei, as if taking credits for his report. "Great Master, I know where he lives. For what kind of matter are you seeking him? Or do you need our help for something?" Even a fool could understand that there was some disagreement between Peng Wei and Yang Chen. On one side there was a high-level pill-concocting master with boundless prospects, on the other side was a loose cultivator without any influence. Even a child would know whom to choose. The scene in front of Yang Chen was completely in line with the expectation of people, except of one person. Peng Wei. Another person was even more straightforward, he directly rushed to Yang Chen and asked. Whoever he is, Great Master, has he committed some kind of offense against you? Should I capture him and make him kowtow to you to beg for forgiveness? The person speaking this time was a peak foundation stage expert, he certainly didn't hold Peng Wei, a middle foundation stage cultivator, within his eyes. As long as Yang Chen nodded once, he would immediately follow through with the idea he mentioned earlier. This attitude gave a huge fright to Peng Wei. When had Yang Chen turned into a great master? Has the entire Li Lu village begun to go foolish? Right away a large group of people gathered over there with a pleasant smile towards Yang Chen. Peng Wei already knew that the current situation was far from good. When he wanted to flee, he suddenly felt a coldness on his neck, as if something was put on top of his neck. Soon afterwards a sinister cold voice came from behind his body. Great Master, has this guy offended you or not? How about I kill him right now? Peng Wei was scared stiff, who could have thought that a Kai-layer youngster would surprisingly have the support of so many people at the Li Lu village. Hearing everyone's voices, it seemed as if they were using his life to curry favor with Yang Chen. He intended to turn around, but due to the flying sword on his neck, he didn't dare to make any movement, fearing that if it gave rise to some kind of misunderstanding, then he would killed in one blow. This here is the immoral falling well. Peng Wei's stuttering voice came through, only after waiting for a good moment did he continue. It is forbidden to kill people here. Everyone only wanted to curry favor with Yang Chen, but they had forgotten that they were currently at the immortal falling well. Or perhaps they were aware that this was the immortal falling well, but a few of them still wanted to put out this kind of courageous appearance in order to leave a deep impression on Yang Chen. Hearing Peng Wei's words everyone began to hesitate. Great Master, what do you think should we do? Or should I make sure that after leaving the immortal falling well, he dies without a burial site? The person who was holding the flying sword on Peng Wei's neck asked Yang Chen for instructions. Although the tone of his voice was still threatening, he did not appear like he would immediately kill Peng Wei anymore. There are many people like him who are killed by spirit beasts every day. The person immediately spoke from one side of Yang Chen. Let him go for now, we will follow after him and wait for him to reach a region with many spirit beasts. This guy was even more fierce, he wanted to kill him within the immortal falling well itself and afterwards push the blame on underground spirit beasts. Hearing everyone's discussion, the coldness within Peng Wei's heart grew. Yang Chen hadn't said anything, but that mocking smile was creating even more pressure on Peng Wei compared to those other people's remarks. Who could have anticipated that a trifling Kai stage youngster who had offended a great person in the outside world had flourished so well within the immortal falling cave? 7 to 8 peak foundation stage experts blocked his path, not even allowing him to speak, furthermore their strength was higher than his. He had never before seen such a huge group of supporters in the immortal falling well. Peng Wei still did not know the reason why Yang Chen, who was just a minor Kai-layer disciple, had such high-leveled cultivators fawning over him. Even if they could not kill him, could they not seize him? On the scene, Peng Wei knew that he had never been benevolent towards Yang Chen. The most likely outcome was that his body would be dismembered into 10,000 pieces after leaving the immortal falling well, after all he had lived for a long time. What was even more probable was that after he went back after replenishing the materials he needed, his corpse would be found buried within the mouths of underground spirit beasts. People could not kill each other within the immortal falling well, all of the resentments and grudges from the outside should not be brought into the immortal falling well, this was the regulation set by the Council of the Five Formidable Elders. However, this regulation could only have effect in the Li Lu village, nobody among the Council of the Five Elders was an immortal, so could they still monitor every corner of the immoral falling well. A large number of people settled their disputes at some corner, just like Yang Chen had been chased to kill him previously. Chasing other people to kill them was an easy task, but when it's one's own turn to be chased and killed, that was a completely different feeling. Peng Wei was merely a middle foundation stage cultivator against a group of peak foundation stage experts or even initial Jidan stage experts. Even if he wanted to flee, it would be impossible. He also didn't have Yang Chen's hiding abilities, until now he didn't know where Yang Chen had hidden in the end. You all don't need to pay attention to him, I know how to take care of him. Against everyone's expectation, Yang Chen let off Peng Wei quite lightly. Although everyone did not understand, but the person holding the blade did not want to defy Yang Chen, so he snorted towards Peng Wei once and then turned around and slowly left. Just as that ice-cold sensation suddenly disappeared, Peng Wei loosened and took a deep breath. However, recalling the discussion between these people just a moment ago, he looked at Yang Chen's calm face again. Peng knew what kind of calamity he had escaped today. In his desperation, Peng Wei could not help but clench his teeth, resolving that he would kill Yang Chen right there. Within a moment, a flying sword suddenly soared in the air and rushed to attack Yang Chen, who had just turned his head and began to walk. The flying sword rapidly approached its target, which was very different from Yang Chen's style of killing by beheading with a blade. Everyone was greatly startled at this and were just about to take out their magic weapons when suddenly Yang Chen shouted loudly. "Everyone must not move, in this immortal falling well we follow the rules of the Council of Elders." The most unexpected thing was that, after glancing at the flying sword once, he continued to walk away. Peng Wei had naturally heard Yang Chen's words and noted it in his mind, but putting the sword back into his scabbard now would greatly shame him, so the flying sword hesitated for only one moment and then continued towards Yang Chen in order to kill him. Outrageous. Suddenly these words echoed like a thunderclap within everyone's ears, and an overflowing loftiness directly engulfed all of those people. Peng Wei was so shaken that blood spurted from all of his 7 orifices, the flying sword turned around, defying its master's control, and with an even higher speed, it flew towards Peng Wei and without even stopping for one moment, directly penetrated his body. Peng Wei looked at his flying sword with his own blood all over it, with an unbelieving expression, his body swayed a little, and then finally fell to the ground, even at the point of dying he still hadn't closed his eyes and couldn't die in peace. It is rare that someone doesn't remember this old man's rules, very good. The earlier voice echoed within everyone's ears once again, but this time its tone was much more soft. If you are enjoying the content, let a like, comment and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 70 Elder Wu needs a favor. Hearing these words, everyone realized whose voice this was. Elder Wu of the Council of 5 Elders, a defying stage expert, the great cultivator who was admired by all of the ancestors of everyone's sex, the overseer of the immortal falling well, the person who made all of the rules here. Since everyone had set foot into the immortal falling well, nobody had ever seen this legendary defying stage expert, everything was entirely conducted according to the rules without the slightest accident. Gradually everyone seemed to have forgotten the existence of Elder Wu, the rules were only followed at the Lilu village, when going into the depths of the immortal falling well, the sun was high and the emperor far away. 1. Obviously Elder Wu had not shown himself, he just controlled the flying sword of Peng Wei to kill him. Seeing that, everyone realized within their hearts that compared to a genuine expert, they were still very far away. Thinking about that incident, what would have happened if Yang Chen hadn't shouted to stop them, their whole bodies were covered in cold sweat. Even if their strength was higher when compared to Peng Wei, when all was said and done they still had their limits, at least no one among them would have been able to control Peng Wei's flying sword to kill him. Not to mention achieving this, they did not even dare to think about trying it. Everybody on the scene did not dare to say anything, in the entire Lilu village, there wasn't a single person who would have dared to even move. One sentence from Elder Wu made everyone clearly understand that, at the Lilu village, at the immortal falling well, regardless of the situation, complying with the rules of Elder Wu was the best choice. Similarly Yang Chen also didn't make any unnecessary movements or say anything, he had long ago anticipated Elder Wu's appearance. When his spiritual awareness thread had suddenly come in contact with a formidable but hidden spiritual awareness which left immediately after contact, he realized that this surely had to be Elder Wu's spiritual awareness. Elder Wu had begun to investigate the traces of that frightening killing intent years ago, Yang Chen clearly understood this point. Seeing his sudden appearance just a moment ago, Yang Chen reckoned that he must have returned from the outside world. At the time when Yang Chen had turned around to walk away, when Peng Wei used his flying sword to attack him, Yang Chen immediately shouted to stop everyone because of the rules of Elder Wu. As for the recently returned Elder Wu, he did not care about right or wrong, the important thing to him was that people had to comply with the rules he had laid down. Peng Wei had suddenly revealed his flying sword, but the group of people didn't do anything because of Yang Chen's advice, no other outcome could have made Elder Wu happier. These people not doing anything indicated that they adored him, they adored the rules he had laid down. That person who had attacked was surely a person who would recklessly break the rules he set down. The person who had been attacking surely had resentments, but Elder Wu had already made it clear long ago that after entering into the immortal falling well, even if they had resentments as big as the sky, they had to suppress it and not indiscriminately kill fellow Taoists. Since Yang Chen and the other had upheld the rules, naturally Elder Wu would punish the person who was breaking them. I do not care what kind of grudge you have, even if you all want to attack or kill each other outside of the immortal falling pond, I do not care about that. But if you try to attack anyone within the immortal falling well, I will kill you. That awe-inspiring voice echoed within everyone's ears again, but nobody was able to see his figure. Nobody dared to start discussing about Elder Wu, even if one was a Jidan expert, when facing a defying stage expert, they wouldn't even dare to look them in the eye, let alone act recklessly. Youngster, you are pretty good. His voice resounded in everyone's ears, but this time it was pointing towards Yang Chen in particular. I see that your cultivation is quite low and you don't have any flying sword. I bestow this flying sword to you." Following Elder Wu's words, the flying sword which was hanging in the air after killing Peng Wei flew in front of Yang Chen, following which the Qianqin pouch on Peng Wei's belt also flew towards Yang Chen. "I also see that you don't have a sect-provided Qianqin pouch, which sect's disciple is so poor. Take this also as a reward." Yang Chen extended his hand and grabbed the flying sword and the Qianqin pouch in front of him. Under everyone's envious gazes, he bowed towards the sky and said, "Many thanks, Senior, for your kindness. The road of cultivation is extremely hard, though it's ultimately not very important. You should still try not to arouse enmity with others." A trace of guidance could be heard within Elder Wu's voice, but it was not in a commanding tone. "Do your best." "Yes, Senior." Yang Chen again voiced his gratitude respectfully, but as if Elder Wu had disappeared, his voice could not be heard anymore. Everyone sensed that the earth-shattering pressure had also disappeared, so it was safe to assume that Elder Wu had already left. Who? Who? A series of sighs could be heard, apparently everyone had relaxed. Although Elder Wu had not appeared in person, the expressions of everyone were as if they had been fighting for a whole day with all of their strength. Sweat could be seen dripping from their bodies. All of them immediately sat down on the ground and were unable to say anything for half a day. Since these people had stuck out for him in his predicament, Yang Chen was not even a little bit stingy and immediately took out a jade bottle and gave every person a second-grade Yang Kai pill. After the pill entered their stomachs, a little bit of spirit power was restored in everyone, and one by one they began to stand up. "What a narrowly escape," blurted the person who was pointing his flying sword at Peng Wei's neck just a moment ago, but he immediately realized his mistake. If this was heard by Elder Wu, wouldn't this create a grave misunderstanding? Thinking this, he covered his mouth at lightning speed and did not dare to speak anymore. Other people's expressions were also as if they had been given a new lease on life. They had realized that if it were not for Yang Chen stopping them a moment ago, they would also have been killed by the flying sword. They could not help but rejoice and felt extremely grateful towards Yang Chen. "Great Master, thanks for what you did just a moment ago." As soon as they sobered up, people immediately came to thank Yang Chen. Yang Chen didn't consider it as a great favor and similarly cupped his hands towards everyone and said, "The one expressing his gratitude must be me." Everyone had only spoken out for justice. "Many thanks, everyone." Both sides were courteous to each other, but when pushing the credit around, those who had previously overstepped their limits to show off in front of Yang Chen were extremely delighted within their hearts. This had once again given them a chance to further their relationship with Yang Chen and leave a stronger impression on him. There was nobody who envied Yang Chen for obtaining the flying sword and Qianqin pouch. If everyone were made to experience Elder Wu's pressure again to obtain a flying sword afterwards, Yang Chen reckoned that they would be ready to do anything to not have to suffer from that nightmarish experience again. Those among them who originally believed themselves to be figures who could shake the world only now discovered that they were just a mole who didn't even have the ability to choose whether to live or to die in front of those real experts. The only person who was fine among them was Yang Chen. Not to mention his previous life, even in this life Yang Chen had beheaded many great experts, even the Jade Emperor, so how could he be afraid of the pressure from a Dacheng stage cultivator? For him that was basically just a piece of cake. 3 years had already passed since Yang Chen had entered the Immortal Falling Well. Currently he was considering how to spend the rest of the time. He definitely could not waste even a single second of those 10 years. Yang Chen did not have any lack of spirit essences, he even had an amount which was sufficient to support a sect. The spirit power was also plentiful here, so this was a good place for cultivating, but from the time when Yang Chen had entered the sect, only 6 brief years had passed and he had already reached the peak of the Kai layer and the fire attribute. This kind of speed was already heaven-defying. Even the speed of a cultivation talent like Shy Fairy could not compare to this. When he had stepped onto the peak of heavenly stairs, people had said that, since he had killed so many his will had become quite firm and illusionary spaces could not affect him, but as for cultivation, he would never be able to compare to Shy Fairy, who had a metal attributed full spirit root. Previously Yang Chen had planned to reach the foundation stage within 10 years, which would already surpass the speed of all kinds of cultivation talents, so naturally he could not allow to show off his aberrancy for now. If he did, it would give rise to endless jealousy and other such trivial matters when the other sects thought about it and decided that he, a cultivation talent, had to be trampled while he was still sprouting so that he would not be able to influence the equilibrium between the sects in the future, then it could only be called a grave injustice to him. As for killing underground beasts, he only needed to do that in order to fuse with the Zhantai stage's will, but that had already been done, so Yang Chen didn't feel like troubling those underground spirit beasts. It seemed as if he could only forge himself into a pill-concocting talent. Fortunately his reputation had already spread somewhat, at least within the Lilu village, nobody could question this. Yang Chen refining second-grade foundation stage pills was something that had occurred before everyone's eyes, so there was definitely no possibility of him being a fraud. Afterwards, he had exchanged some ingredients with other people and refined some low-level pills like the Yang Kai pill, the Yuan cultivation pill and so on, all of them second grade. So by now, nobody had any doubts regarding Yang Chen being a pill concocting master. Days kept on passing calmly until half a year had passed. Every day, Yang Chen would do one heavenly circulation and afterwards use the universal treasure-raising secrets on the profound spirit furnace and the sword box. Since his fire-attributed cultivation had already increased by one step, the heavenly star's treasure-refining secrets and the earth fiend sacrificial formation secrets could be used to conduct an even higher layer refining. But what made Yang Chen astonished was that, apparently, whichever attribute of spirit power he used to refine, it would only enhance the spirit power of that attribute. His fire-attributed spirit power had already attained the fourth layer of the heavenly star's treasure-refining secrets and the sixth layer of the earth fiend sacrificial formation secrets. Accordingly, the third fire and the fourth fire-attributed heavenly stars and earth fiend spirit power threads had already strengthened 4 times and 6 times respectively. But there was no change in the spirit power threads of other attributes. Having Elder Wu overseeing the immortal falling well, Yang Chen was afraid that this Dacheng stage expert would discover the fact that he cultivated both yin and yang of all 5 phases, therefore he did not dare to reveal much and only concentrated on improving his fire-attributed spirit power. Within the short period of half a year, Yang Chen's fire-attributed spirit power had already reached the pinnacle, vaguely touching the boundary of the foundation stage. After that, Yang Chen used his formidable spiritual awareness and no longer increased the fire-attributed spirit power, instead he began to increase the spirit power of the other phases. Those people who had chose to kill Yang Chen appeared in the Lilu village during this half-year in succession, which caught Yang Chen's attention. When both sides met each other, even though sparks radiated all around because of what happened last time, with Penghui being killed by Elder Wu, nobody dared to fight within the Lilu village. Old grudges had to wait until the time when they went into the immortal falling well again. Yang Chen had stopped appearing at the market, instead he stayed within his room. On the doorstep, he hung a board made of wood, on which a pill concocting furnace was drawn, acting as the sign for the shop. In any case, everyone was aware that Yang Chen was a talented pill concocting master. If they wanted to find him, they could directly go to his room. On that day, Yang Chen had just sent off a fellow Taoist, for whom he had refined a furnace of Yang Kai pills, and sat down for a moment when suddenly someone knocked on his door. After receiving permission from Yang Chen, a square-faced, middle-aged man opened the door and walked in. Once he came in, Yang Chen had a feeling of déjà vu, but he didn't have any impression of this person from before, which baffled Yang Chen. "You are a pill concocting master, can you refine any high-grade pills?" The middle-aged man was blunt and came straight to the point. Yang Chen had answered this question many times, but he had never seen this person before, apparently he was new, so not knowing him was normal. Yang Chen replied with a nod, without showing any signs of impatience. "At most I can refine foundation stage pills, the cultivation of myself is limited, so I do not dare to waste senior's ingredients." Yang Chen's answer was within the middle-aged man's expectations. After all, Yang Chen was only a Pekai layer cultivator at the moment. To be able to refine second-grade foundation stage pills was already an astonishing performance. He also couldn't make any extravagant demands. "What if you only have to refine and purify a single type of ingredient?" the middle-aged man asked. "That depends on the kind of ingredient." Although he hadn't given a clear answer, the tone of his voice was full of a confidence which couldn't be hidden. "What about this one?" The middle-aged man opened his hand, which held a green-blue zoysia too, and placed it in front of Yang Chen. A faint expectation could be heard in his tone. "Top-grade blue-green zoysia." Yang Chen was stunned, after which a passionate look appeared within his eyes. This top-grade blue-green zoysia only grew in the depths of some kind of underground jade ore and could only be found by chance. It was protected by formidable demonic beasts. If one did not have great strength and heaven-defying luck, then it is impossible to obtain this kind of heavenly material. And this kind of zoysia just so happens to be the main ingredient of the extremely rarely seen dual heavenly pill. The dual heavenly pill was only used in one circumstance, and that was during the time of the tribulation during the ascension from the Dacheng stage to the spiritual world. This middle-aged man had unexpectedly taken out this kind of item. Finally, Yang Chen realized why he had felt that kind of familiarity from him. This middle-aged man was actually Elder Wu. Back then, Yang Chen's spiritual awareness thread had a slight contact with Elder Wu's spiritual awareness, that's why he felt that he was vaguely familiar with him. Yang Chen had shouted the name of the blue-green zoysia without hesitating, which had startled Elder Wu. An ordinary cultivator simply did not know about this kind of thing, but Yang Chen had identified it with just a glance. This could only mean two things, either Yang Chen had a very extensive knowledge of herbs, or he had seen this before. Elder Wu would prefer if it were the former. Seeing this kind of thing was not easy, even for a person at the level of Elder Wu. Can you refine and purify this blue-green zoysia? Elder Wu was closely watching Yang Chen's expression, somewhat impatient for Yang Chen's reply. Refining the zoysia without harming the medicinal property requires almost perfect control over fire. If there is even one tiny mistake, then it will burn down at once, leaving nothing behind. Yang Chen didn't reply directly, he rather first spoke about the trouble with refining the zoysia, then he continued to speak. For refining the blue-green zoysia, the most suitable flame is precisely the geocentric flame. While speaking, Yang Chen brought his hands in front of himself and a ball of flame appeared within them. The dark red color allowed Elder Wu to immediately identify the type of the flame. Meanwhile, that ball of flame seemed as if it had come alive under Yang Chen's control. It turned into a person whose appearance was exactly like Elder Wu sitting in front of him. Elder Wu, take a look at my skills, do you think I am worthy of your kind intentions? Yang Chen smiled and asked Elder Wu, whose gaze was fixed Yang Chen's hands. One, this means to become more audacious because you're further away from authority. Zoysia is a kind of grass. If you are enjoying the content, let a like, comment and subscribe to Fantasy World for more.